The Daytona International Speedway on a cloudy and, for Florida, very cool Saturday. Despite the chill, it's a special place and a special time for racers and race fans. The start of a new season at the sport's most famous track. Since men first began testing the limits of themselves and their machines on the hard-packed sands of Daytona Beach in the early 1900s, this community along Florida's East Coast has been a dream destination for those who want to know how fast they can go. The Speedway opened in 1959, unlike anything else that existed at the time. Through the years, thousands have challenged these high banks. Those who've succeeded have become famous. Those who've succeeded repeatedly have become legends. Some of today's biggest NASCAR stars are ready to pursue another cherished trophy, as are rising young stars hoping for a memorable upset, and one famous lady chasing her own Daytona dream. A new season begins at world-famous Daytona next.
10, 9,
ESPN welcomes you to NASCAR Countdown, presented by Hellmann's, as the 2010 NASCAR Nationwide Series opens at the Daytona International Speedway in Daytona Beach, Florida. The final practice session for tomorrow's Daytona 500 has just concluded, and as those cars roll back into their garage, the 15 drivers from the 500 field who are also running today's 300-miler have just a couple of moments to talk to their teams, grab a bite to eat, and then head out to the stage and be introduced and buckle in.
Gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats as the Mainland High School Air Force Junior ROTC Color Guard presents our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Reverend Sonny Goldman of Central Baptist Church of Daytona Beach offers today's invocation.
Let us pray. Loving God, we know that every good gift in our lives is a blessing from you. And so we thank you for this day where we can be with one another and where we can enjoy each other's company. We ask that you would keep the drivers and their crews safe, and we make one more request. Keep the track dry and let the cars fly. Amen.
Here to perform our national anthem, please welcome epic recording artist Videra, Kristen May.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
It's building now. The tension, the excitement as the green flag draws closer. A lot of fantastic finishes and thrilling racing in the Speed Week's event so far. How will this 300 miles unfold at Daytona International Speedway?
They are kicking off Drive4COPD with a cross-country race you can follow online at DRIVE4COPD.com. Here to give those most famous words in motorsports, please welcome co-grand marshals, Emmy-nominated actor Jim Belushi, Olympic gold medalist Bruce Jenner, Grammy Award-winning country music star Patty Loveless, and pro football great Michael Strahan.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
You go ahead. Got me, bud? Good. Yes, sir. Yeah, 10-4, buddy. Just to let you know, you're about 10 away right where you just sit.
All right, on a chilly day, might be an extra minute or so for the engines to warm before the cars roll off the pit lane. But as the field gets ready to go, let's us roll upstairs to three men who've been there and done that when it comes to big races. Dale Jarrett, Andy Petrie, and Marty Reed set to call today's race. Gentlemen, all yours.
All right, thank you, Alan. Hello, everybody. And you guys did a great job of setting the scene for us, especially the number of stars we have. 15 double-duty drivers. 5 of them have Nationwide Series wins here at Daytona. But in the 28 years we've run this race, 2 drivers were non-Sprint Cup winners, and that was Chad Little. He did it once. Our own Randy LaJoie did it 3 times. Every other time it's been a Sprint Cup regular that's won this race. Let's talk about the guys who might break through today and become that 3rd driver.
Somebody that's looked real good the whole week here has been Trevor Bain, 18 years old. He's out there doing a great job driving that car to the front. He's led a lot of the groups I've seen out there, so he could be a guy that could break through and get a win. And Stephen Wallace, every time we've talked to him, he's been so confident. He's changed to Toyotas this year, and it could be his first win.
Andy, I picked up on a couple of other drivers. Michael Annette, who really had a good run here last year in both the races at Daytona, I think has a great shot at showing what he can do out here today, possibly even winning this race. And the other would be Colin Brown. He's in good equipment from Roush Fenway. I really think that he's going to show us the talents that he has. It'll be fun watching their progress here today.
Well, and as you have heard from everybody talking about all weekend long through the practice sessions, it has been the number 4 of Tony Stewart that has been the class of the field, and Tony is going to be our in-race reporter. In fact, he's ready to go. Let's give it to DJ and let's talk to him.
Hey, Tony, Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You have a copy?
Yeah, bud.
Hey, Smoke, our first question is from our ESPN mailbag, and Cora from Pilot Mountain, North Carolina asks, you look great in practice this week. What gives you so much confidence racing at Daytona?
Yeah, I wish I knew. It's just, you know, part of it's having good cars. You know, I got the honor to win with Rick Hendrick last year here and HendrickCars.com, and today we're in the Oreo Ritz Cracker Chevy with Kevin and Delana, and that's where I got my first win, was with Kevin and Delana. So every time I run for these guys and everybody at KHI, they always give us great race cars. So you know, that's 3/4 of the battle right there. When you got a good car, and you know you got a good car when you get it, it gives you that confidence.
Smoke, we have a lot of rookies and first-timers in this field today. You're back there in 32nd. Have you taken the opportunity to kind of familiarize yourself with who's in what car? Or are you really not concerned? You're just going to pass them as you get to them?
Well, the hard part is I only know about 5 guys off of their numbers, so you're right. I mean, there's a lot of people that I don't know, and even guys that are veterans in this series, I don't know what cars they're in. So you know, the biggest thing, just kind of evaluate the situation as it comes, and 120 laps here is still a long, long race, even though it's only 300 miles. And you just got to, it's kind of self-preservation for the most part. You just got to take care of it and make sure that for the first 100 laps, don't put a scratch on this thing to where, you know, get this Oreo Ritz Crackers car there at the end.
All right, Smoke, thanks for talking with us. Have a great day. And now Andy's going to talk to your crew chief, Butch Chilton.
All right, buddy.
Hey, Butch Chilton, Andy Petrie, you got us?
Yes, sir, Andy. I got you loud and clear.
Hey, Butch, you know this racetrack right here can get real greasy and slick and be a real handling race. You get 6 sets of tires. How many do you have left, and how do you plan to use them?
Well, we just used one setup, and we got a set of mock qualifiers that are scuffed, and we'll put them to the back of the line, and we'll try to save a set to the end. That seems to be the best way to go here.
Okay, Butch, we appreciate it. Good luck today. Thanks for talking to us.
Yes, sir.
Obviously a little audio bleed on their frequency, but I don't think it'll bother Tony, because I think he's going to focus on one thing. All he wants to hear is clear and move to the front. All right, as you look from high above, a good sized crowd making their way to their seats as the cars begin to roll out. The electricity continues to build at Daytona. Cars on the first of 3 pace laps here at Daytona International Speedway. Our starting grid will come across the top of the screen. We have a couple of history makers today. 2 women in the field, Chrissy Wallace, and of course, that girl in the 7 car, and 4 Wallace family members. The last time that happened was, well, back in 1949. Tim Infante and Bob Flock raced with their sister, Ethel Motley. All right, let's check the onboards. We've got a bunch for you. Tony Stewart, Kevin Harvick, Stephen Wallace, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Trevor Bayne, Mike Bliss, Justin Allgaier, and of course, Danica Patrick. Let's get the latest from pit road. First up, Vince Welch.
Well, Marty, we've talked so much about Danica Patrick's performance in the draft during this course practice during this week, but equally important today is her performance on pit road. She has never driven a car in a race like she's going to drive here today, and for that reason, this experience is going to be completely different. During her test sessions, her and the team have practiced pit stops over and over. They know a great day in the draft can be ruined if they don't execute here in the pit box. And for more on that, let's check in with Tim Brewer. Tim?
Vince, you're exactly right. When Danica comes down pit road in an Indy car, she hadn't got any roll bars, hadn't got anything obscuring her vision. But this one of these situations today, she's really going to have to rely on the pit spotter and her crew to counter in, because she's got no room to move in, no side vision whatsoever. So getting in and out of the pit areas without tearing the fenders up is going to be very important. Now down to Hollywood, what's going on pit road?
Thanks, Tim. Danica Patrick has asked a lot of questions all week long on the racetrack, but today she'll be asking a lot of questions before a pit stop and after a pit stop. She has to trust the decisions being made up on the box and the crew going over the wall. Her first pit stop today will be the first in a Nationwide Series car. So, guys, it's going to be exciting, and it's just a part of the learning curve for Danica Patrick here at Daytona.
All right, thanks, Hollywood. And we make it sound like this should be a simple process. Let's go back to the duels. Ask A.J. Allmendinger.
Yeah, exactly. These pit boxes are really slick. They had a 24-hour race here just a couple weeks ago. And even though we had a lot of rain, there's still a lot of fluids left down from that. So she really needs to be careful in doing that. You really can't win the race, and she's not here to definitely win, but you could certainly ruin your day if you don't take care of your car and get in and out of pits properly.
And like Hollywood said, it's up to the crew chief and that spotter to keep her out of trouble. Some of that stuff she can't see. She's going to have to rely on them. They have to do a good job of watching out for her, giving her good information to make sure they don't step on each other on the radio.
Let's get some last-minute updates from pit road. Doc, you're up.
Thanks, guys. Two-time champion Kevin Harvick is still undecided as to whether he will run the full season for the championship again. The key factor, one word, fun. He said, if I'm having fun and we're doing well here on pit road, I may decide to go ahead and run the entire year to get that third title. Right now, his plans are to run every race up and through the end of May at Charlotte. However, if he runs very well today, he may make a quick decision and go ahead and opt to run the entire year. Dave.
Doc, if you know Dale Earnhardt Jr., you know he's all about throwback, all about old school. And so one of the things that's most important to him today is he's back together with his old crew chief, Pops Uri. Pops is on the pit box today for the first time in 5 years with Dale Earnhardt Jr. Now remember, it wasn't Pops that changed. Jr. is the driver for this race after Keselowski ran this car last year. And this reuniting after 5 years could breed very good things for this team here at Daytona. Jamie?
Well, Carl Edwards has done very many things in the Nationwide Series, but one thing he is missing, a coveted win here at Daytona. He came so close last year, finishing second to Tony Stewart. But hey, today could be the day. He's starting outside front row, and he told us this is the fastest he has ever felt in a Nationwide car here at Daytona. Marty?
All right, thanks, team. As we get ready to go green here, one car that is in the garage area, and it's bad news for fans of 68-year-old Morgan Shepherd, the oldest man in the field. They have a throttle linkage problem. They pulled it right behind the wall as he tried to get out of pit road.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for Morgan. He made the field. They didn't have to qualify, but they made it in, and now he's sitting in the garage area. But looks like the back of the car jacked up as well.
See if he can get out. The pace lights are out, and that means we'll be going green next time by. It was exactly 28 years ago today. The first ever Nationwide Series event was held right here on the 2.5-mile oval. Let's listen in on Brad Keselowski's radio. We hear he may have a problem.
Playing around here with the transmission ball. Something in the linkage ain't right. I can't really tell, but when I go into second, it's like it tries to keep going after it's already in gear. Same thing in fourth. Maybe the adjuster is backed way up or something. Not really sure. I'll pay attention to it and let you know.
Okay, so it sounds like Brad's got shift linkage problems, and you're shaking your head.
Yeah, that's not going to get better as the race goes on. I don't know exactly what kind of transmission and linkage system they have. A lot of them run different ones. But I don't like the sound of that. Sounds like third and fourth gate has a problem.
Yeah, you know, you come here this first race, you're so excited about it, and you know the anticipation of trying to win here. But these teams have worked hard to get prepared, and just sometimes the small details. And you know, they haven't had a tremendous amount of time on the racetrack and haven't been on the track since Thursday.
We saw Paul Wolf and the team trying to sort of sort things out. We'll follow that story, as well as Smoke running his way back from the 32nd spot. He gets into the race, courtesy of being a winner from last year, as did Greg Biffle. $2.735 million. It's a record purse for this race, but that's not what the 43 drivers are hoping for. They want to hold on to that trophy. It's been 84 days since our last race. If you need your fix for speed, we're about to go green.
Proud of you this whole week, actually the last 2 weeks here. Done a nice job. All the guys did a nice job too, Tony. Nice to be a part of you guys here.
Right on. Thanks, guys. Let's finish strong.
Butterflies in her stomach have to be the size of a 747 right now. You're at Daytona for your first start. The Ford Mustang pace car brings them out of turn number 4. All the fans here, and look at the size of this crowd, bigger than last year, without a doubt. Pace car pulls off. Here comes the field. Kyle Busch down on the low side. Carl Edwards right up beside him. And the 2010 NASCAR Nationwide season is green. Everybody looks good coming through turns 1 and 2 down the backstretch for lap number 1.
Yeah, pretty interesting. Kyle Busch decided to jump up in that high line from starting down on the inside. Yeah, he got a good start, so he was able to kind of choose which lane he could go in, and he chose that outside lane down the backstretch. You got to think they're going to run the bottom of the racetrack if they get single file, but that upper lane looked pretty good there for the first lap.
Coming out of turn number 4, Kyle Busch, followed by Carl Edwards. Kevin Harvick is in third. Oh, we've got a crash come down out of turn number 4. The 41 car of Chrissy Wallace, making her Nationwide Series debut, has hit the wall hard. 2 other cars had to go down pit road. There's another car spinning as a result, Brad Teague.
Yeah, he went sliding down through the infield grass. Chrissy Wallace looks like she has the most damage.
Window net down means that Chrissy is A-OK, but the car is definitely not. There's Brad. Brad, the second oldest driver in this field at age 62. He gets it back out. He's got damage to that left front you can see right there. It looks like it actually was a separate incident because that was much further down on the racetrack.
Well, Brad, just his momentum carried him down through the grass. He was trying to avoid this. Looks like some cars got together right there towards the back of that pack.
And there's Chrissy climbing out, and I'm sure she's not thrilled at all with the way this ended up.
It looks like Chrissy gets loose, real loose right there, and just overcorrects, gets into the outside wall.
She had a car right on her bumper. Looked like Paul Menard, who was right on her bumper. That'll really free you up. And in her defense, she hasn't had a lot of time this week. They had some problems getting the car through inspection, and then she didn't get a lot of time either day with the car, and especially in race trim.
And the laps we saw her run, that car was out of control. Looks like it's not much better here. I mean, she just really got loose off turn 4. Those bumps are really, really upset the car when you're on the bottom.
Yeah, and we should point out it wasn't Chrissy out of control. The car just looked evil.
Yeah, the car just, every time we saw it, it looked like it wanted to go, that is out of mind of its own.
Well, looks like it had a mind of its own right there, as Chrissy Wallace is our first victim on the racetrack. We'll take a break and come back to Daytona. Under our first caution here in the Drive for COPD 300 at Daytona International Speedway, as we can tell you that Brad Teague has taken his car to the garage area. Morgan Shepherd, though, is back out. He's 2 laps down, but Morgan's crew got the car fixed, so he's back in. Checking back through the field, Kevin Harvick, we mentioned, third behind Edwards and Busch. Logano fourth, Earnhardt Jr. in fifth. And his team car Danica Patrick, as he has been mentoring her throughout the weekend, giving her as much advice as he possibly could. She has dropped back from her 15th starting position to 18th, and this was not surprising. The crew had said that Tony Eury was going to say, look, just take it easy. If you fall back, it's okay.
Yeah, and these starts and restarts are going to be probably the most exciting times that she's going to see, and the things that she hasn't had to really deal with. So getting used to that, and as she gets one or two under these belts, she'll understand a little bit more of it. Vince?
Well, the main objective for Danica Patrick is they want to keep her on the bottom of the racetrack. They feel like the trouble is going to be up top. And they said as long as she's comfortable running where she's at, they won't drop to the back. But if she starts feeling uncomfortable, you maybe see her slip back out of some of the heavier traffic. But the main objective, stay on the bottom of the racetrack. Just before they went green, by the way, Dale Jr. came on the radio to her and said, have fun and trust your instincts. So far, Danica said after one lap, albeit one lap, she said, hey, that was pretty good. Liked it. So we'll keep our eye on it for sure.
All right, thanks for the update, Vince. To check in with Tony Stewart, our in-race reporter, he's moved up from 32nd to 29th.
Hey, Smoke DJ, you have a copy?
Yeah, bud.
Hey, man, you were practicing your Cup car this morning. Now you're in this car. Haven't been in it since Thursday. Is that a big adjustment on your part?
Not really. I mean, you kind of remember, just from last year, the package for these cars really hasn't changed. So, just a little bit of riding around you do on the 3 pace laps kind of gets you back to what you're doing and, up to speed. It's like no.
All right, man. Be careful. Talk to you later.
And remember, the heavy rains yesterday washed off all the rubber that we had built up, and only the practice earlier today by Sprint Cup were for tomorrow's 500. That's the only rubber that is down on the track right now. We can give you an update. Chrissy Wallace has been released from the infield medical center, and that is good news. Dave, what's the update on the 22 on Brad Keselowski?
Yeah, Marty, I wanted to check with Paul Wolf, the crew chief, and find out if there was any issues with the transmission. Seemed like he got up through the gears that first time. Okay, Paul?
Yeah, he said everything felt fine. Wasn't sure under caution or what was wrong. Something in the linkage didn't feel just right, but said it shifted fine up through the gear. So I don't expect there to be a problem the rest of the day.
All right, that's good news from the 22 pit. Doc?
Chrissy Wallace has walked out of the care center. First of all, Chris, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine. Car's not, so.
What happened?
98. He's just racing too hard, too early. It was a dumb mistake on his part, and unfortunately, we got taken out.
When will we see you again?
Hopefully in the next couple weeks. We're hoping so, trying to work on some sponsor stuff. So if we get some sponsors, we'll be back soon.
Okay, a tough day and a short day for Chrissy Wallace, guys.
And the 98, of course, she's referring to as Paul Menard. He started shotgun on this field in 43rd. He has moved up 7 spots, more than anybody else, and he is currently listed in 36. Kyle Busch again on point. He has again decided to take the low line. Carl Edwards right alongside. And we're back to green flag racing here at Daytona. Interesting. Last time on the start, Kyle went high. This time he stays low.
It's because he's got a partner there in Kevin Harvick, and he knows Harvick's car is pretty fast, so he wants to do that. Kyle kind of alluded to the fact that maybe they were down a little bit horsepower-wise with these Toyotas. It sure doesn't look like it on these starts.
I didn't see it right there. It looked to me like that's a good gauge of power on these restarts, and that 18 car looked like it had plenty. Look at Carl. Oh, man, he is all over Harvick.
And Harvick slides up right in front of him because...
look at this.
Oh, damn, that was close.
Holy cow, look at Harvick.
Hey, guys, we're only working lap number 6 here.
Oh, man, I'm telling you, that was tight right there. We're talking a matter of fractions of an inch.
Yeah, you saw right there exactly what makes these guys so good. That wasn't a spotter telling them clear. That's just pure instinct on Kevin Harvick's part to drive that car through there.
It's 2 abreast through turn 2. Everybody, we got Crash up in the corner. The 99 of Trevor Bayne. A couple of other cars are spinning in this.
Brian Keselowski.
The 26, you're right, Keselowski in it as well, but boy, Bayne got the worst of this one.
Oh, man, his car is destroyed.
We'll have to see the replay, but I think I saw Danica Patrick make a great move to avoid being a part of that.
Well, maybe we ought to get that onboard shot. Oh, and the 40 car, Mike Bliss, he's also caught up in this crash. Get that onboard shot of Danica. Her eyes may be as big as saucers right now. There's the damage on the right side. Window net down for Trevor, and there's the onboard view. And what a tough break. He was with us during our rain delay show yesterday when qualifying got washed out. For 18 years old, the youngest in the field, so well-spoken and so composed.
Yeah, he did such a good job in practice of staying out of trouble. It's like he got some help from Mike Bliss right here.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how much talent you have. You get the rear wheels lifted off the ground, and nobody can drive. And look, see Danica go right by there.
Like Stewart may have snuck through there as well.
Several other cars sneaking through on the bottom there. Take a look. Yep, you're right. He did get help.
Man, that's a hard lick, too. See, Danica gets into the back of a car right there. Can't see the number.
Oh, nice job. I mean, you see a lot of these other guys, you could see the tires, smoke from them, locking up the wheels.
Speaking of smoke, look at him drive right through here in the 4-car.
Really a good job. I know this racetrack looks wide, but I promise you folks that whenever something happens like that, you run out of racing room in a hurry. That was a good job by a lot of people coming through there and not making this bigger than what it could have been.
That's still a tough break for Trevor Bayne. He had such a good car.
All right, let's listen on the radio.
No, I don't know how I didn't, but I didn't.
Yeah. I don't know how I didn't, but I didn't.
Sometimes it's just a higher power, and you're glad that it's there.
Still too wide. One's got the bottom closed. Keep coming. Keep coming.
That was the view from Mike Bliss's car.
Yeah, I don't know if Trevor Bayne was having to be out of the throttle a little bit, but Mike Bliss got on him and just wouldn't lift off.
Oh, you're good there inside.
Well, there's a point right there where he's touching him, and he has to back off the gas because he's getting sideways.
You know, we've heard all of this talk about NASCAR saying, all right, guys, you know, we're going to put it in your hands, but you still have to be smart about it, and in the corners is not a place that you buck around.
Now here's Danica's view.
Brake check. Little spin up here. Come on down. Come on down. Come on down.
Man.
Come on down.
Great job.
Clear up. Clear up. Caution's out. Caution's out here. Caution's out.
All right. Well, unfortunately, not only are 2 cars out, but 2 of our onboard cameras were on those cars with the 40 of Bliss and the 99 of Bayne. We'll find out if Bliss can get back out there. We do have some cars taking advantage of this. They're running further back in the pack. There you can see the 16 of Colin Brown as he'll come in, as is also the 81 of Michael McDowell. And Paul Menard as well. While these guys take a pit stop, we'll take a pit stop here at Daytona International Speedway, the world center of racing. Let's check our sports calendar for you because, they're going to be pounding the pavement out of Pomona. Qualifying from the Winter Nationals 11 Eastern tonight, and then the finals 8 Eastern, both on ESPN2. NASCAR now at 9 a.m. Eastern tomorrow and 5 o'clock Eastern Monday, again on ESPN2. And NASCAR Nationwide Series action, our next stop next Saturday from California, Fontana, 5 Eastern, all of it on ESPN2. And if you weren't aware, the Truck Series opener was rained out last night. They're going to start at 7 o'clock over on Speed. We wish Rick Allen and Phil Parsons and their crew a great season. And Morgan Shepherd gets the Aaron's Lucky Dog, so that puts him now 1 lap down in 39th as Bliss is off, Bayne is off after the crashes, so Teague and Chrissy Wallace. Rusty, you said in the pre-race this was going to happen. You were right.
Well, right now there's just a lot of anxious drivers out there. This is the first race. The skies have cleared now. We got cool temperatures. Everybody wants to win this 300, no doubt about that. But these drivers just need to calm down. I mean, some of the stuff that happened early, Paul Menard, Mike Bliss, I think they could have avoided those accidents, but it didn't happen. But guys, I'll tell you one thing I'm worried about right now is some of the stacking up on the restarts. I've seen many races, even in the closing laps of the Daytona 500, 3 and 4 laps ago, they wrecked the whole field at the start-finish line. These guys got to be calm on the restarts, and I know that DJ knows all about that one.
Yeah, you want to get going, and you want to get up there and try to help the guy in front of you, but you just, as you said, Rush, you have to calm down. I know there's a lot of guys that have a lot of anxious moments right now because it is the first race. It's a huge race, but you just have to be calm.
Paul Menard stops in again to top off. Remember, he started at the back of the field. There is Tony Raines' car. A lot of damage there. Colin Brown came in. He did have damage on the right side. Ray, you've got an observation?
Yeah, the respect that we talked about in the beginning of the race certainly not being shown today with having only two green flag laps out of 8. But what I'm worried about is the debris that's already gotten down from these wrecks this early in the race with a limited number of sets of tires for these nationwide cars. I'm not so sure we're not going to see too many flat tires here as we get going.
And not only that, we've seen a lot of guys having to make evasive moves and slide the tires, so they're just ruining that set of tires, having to get them off. So yeah, these early cautions are taking its toll.
Looks like the old veteran Mike Bliss didn't cut Trevor Bayne too much of a break there. I heard DJ talking about not butt drafting through the corners. He got a hold of him and just would not let go of him. And I know Mike's not a dirty driver, but Trevor went for a ride.
Well, you can see Danica in 18th position. She'll be on the high side. Again, it'll be Harvick now, the race leader. Tony Stewart just a couple of rows behind Danica as he's making his way back through the field after starting 32nd. So it's Harvick and Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Joey Logano, Casey Kane. That is your top 6 as we are getting ready to go back to green flag racing here at Daytona International Speedway. And Harvick has taken the low line. Green flag's out, and we're racing again at Daytona. Oh, going to try 3 wide. Look out. That may not work. In the middle there, that is Ricky Stenhouse Jr., his first appearance here at Daytona. I'm not sure he wants to be there.
I can guarantee he doesn't want to be, but sometimes you get yourself put in that position. He would like to get out of there as soon as possible.
But he made it through, and whoa, look out. That looked like one of Michael Annett in the 15.
I heard Danica saying, was the race going to be more structured? I don't think so. Pretty chaotic right here.
22, Brad Keselowski.
Little piece behind.
So far, that transmission linkage seems to be doing okay. He pulls in front of Danica and should wish Brad a happy birthday. He turned 26 just yesterday.
And you can see Danica trying to get back to the bottom of the racetrack there. That's where she's a little more comfortable what she's done. But actually got forced back and actually put in the middle right there for a minute.
Trying to get back down low. She looks like she's having a hard time keeping the car down.
She's got Tony Stewart now right on her back bumper. She can latch onto that 4 car. She'll go back to the front.
Yeah, and I'd have to say maybe her car and a lot of these other guys' cars are looser than what they anticipated from what we saw the last few days practice-wise. Again, there's not as much rubber down right now, so it's going to take a little adjusting.
And we've not seen any big packs in practice. And they can't avoid that now. It is one big pack.
So far, Tony is staying in pretty much the same location in relationship to Danica. And here comes 3 wide. That's Michael Annett in the middle. Down low, Stephen Wallace in the 66. And Leffler in the 10.
Now, the one thing about it with these cars, they're a little more easy to drive, and you can actually go forward in the middle with the aero package that they have versus what the Cup cars and the way that they drive. So if you can get some help, you can make that work. By yourself, though, you're not going anywhere.
Down the backstretch as all this action unfolds, Trevor Bayne has been released from the medical care center. Doc is with him.
Well, Trevor, very hard hit. What happened?
I don't know, man. It's pretty unbelievable to see something like that happen that early in the race. We were just riding, like lap 5 or something. I got a big shove through the middle of turn 3 and 4 here. I got under the 7, came down the front stretch, was still getting a huge push. I start kind of waving off, checking up, get shoved into the 15, still getting the push, and then I get in the center of the corner and the push never stopped. I don't know what happened or what the 40 car, what in the world was going on there to be that early in the race. Guess he's trying to push us to the lead in lap 1, but it's disheartening for this team to see something like this happen. Sometimes we pray before the race to keep us safe, and that happened, but our prayer to win, sometimes that doesn't get answered, but it's with all the right intentions. So we got to stay strong here and fight back. Got a long season ahead of us here. It's unfortunate to see something like this happen this early in the season, this early in the first race. We'll see what we can do with it.
Very tough day for a talented young driver. Marty?
Thanks, Doc. It is a tough break for the 18-year-old, but he's got many more great days ahead of him. Look at the top 5 here, folks, as they come through. They're trying to pull away from the group. It is Harvick, Earnhardt, Edwards, Logano, and in 5th, John West Townley in that Richard Childress car.
Well, he's doing a great job up there. He started up front. He stayed up there. that Childress car has got good power.
Yeah, they've always had good stuff here between their cars and the power that they make, and John West is doing a nice job right now.
Coming down the backstretch, you can see that Danica Patrick has dropped back to 34th, and they said if the comfort level's not there, go ahead and do that. Get to that first pit stop and make changes on the car. We noticed that she was looking like she was hunting up the track. Let's talk a little bit more about John West Townley. He has got Kyle Busch closing in on him for 5th.
So, guys, this is a good team, as mentioned, behind John West Townley. This is the group that ran the 29 car last year with veterans Clinton Boyer and Jeff Burton at the wheel for most of the races. Quite a different challenge for crew chief Dan Deringhoff in this group, working with a young, inexperienced driver. But Deringhoff told me in the test sessions that they did, he was pleasantly surprised with the ability of John West Townley. He had 10 DNFs last year, and that was goal number 1, finish races. Be there at the end. So far, he's doing a nice job here in the early going.
Well, he did a nice job last week also in the ARCA race. He came home 3rd in that event. But he may get an education from Kyle Busch here pretty soon on the aerodynamics of Daytona.
Yeah, and it's a learning experience for him, too, to be in this. He'd never had a car this good in this series, so that's going to help his learning curve even more. So we may see things that we may say, well, that might surprise us a little bit because of what we've seen from him in the last couple of years, but you get in good equipment, you can show a lot more.
These 6 cars have checked out on the rest of the pack by 1.2 seconds.
Well, they're running single file, and you see this second group now, 2 by 2.
That's Justin Allgaier, last year's Rookie of the Year in the 12 car, leading this second group.
I can promise you there are a lot of guys hollering on their radio of adjustments they're going to want because they just have not been in a pack and situation like this all week long. So now their cars are doing things differently than what they anticipated.
Yeah, riding with Justin Allgaier in the 12 car. He's got his teammate, Brad Keselowski, in that 22 now, moving his way to the front.
In that second group with Allgaier, it's Brad Keselowski, Casey Kane, Brian Vickers, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Greg Biffle. And we mentioned the fact that Danica was going to go where the comfort level was. Well, she has dropped back. And
stay with him. There you go. Stay with him. Try to help him.
She's 33rd right now. That's Tony Raines right in front of her.
What she's got to be careful of right here is not to lose the draft of this big pack in front of her. That's what you hear the crew chief there saying. Just stick with that car in front of you and try to catch that group.
Kyle Busch has gotten around the 21 of John West Townley. So bump Townley down to 6, move Kyle up to 5th. That's the only change amongst the top 10 in the last few laps. Welcome back to the NASCAR Nationwide Series opener here at Daytona. Make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. You're looking down at the top 6, led by Kevin Harvick. Can tell you Michael McDowell during the break had to come back in. He lost a tire, did not bring out the caution, but he now finds himself 4 laps down. No starting parks so far. 4 cars either off or out. Bliss, Bain, Teague, and Chrissy Wallace. How about the guys who have dominated here? The last 8 February winners. 4 by Tony Stewart. Dale Earnhardt has 3. Kevin Harvick has 1. And here comes Tony. Remember, he started 32nd. He's now 11th. Junior 2nd. Harvick 1st. And about the rest of the others in this pack, let's check in with Dave Burns.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. this week has been talking about how good this race car feels to him, how it's been turning, how it's been responding. And I asked Pops Yuri about it this morning. He said, well, you know what? Junior's never been in this car. This car has been raced by Brad Keselowski for 2 years, and we've been working on it. It's the best car in our fleet, and we think it's the best one we've ever built. The second best one is being run today by Danica Patrick, but this is a car that Junior's never been in, and he feels like can get him to victory lane. Jamie?
And behind him is Carl Edwards. Before that last caution flag, Carl and Kevin Harvick had a close encounter. Carl came on the radio and said, man, he almost wrecked us across my hood. Guys, let's remember that for later in the race. Carl's car right now, okay, as he runs around 3rd. Marty?
117 combined Nationwide Series victories among the top 5 drivers right there in your picture. There is the second pack, and look for the number 4 of Tony Stewart. He is now leading that pack. Stewart has moved up to 7th. He is without a doubt the biggest mover, along with Paul Menard. They have each picked up 25 spots. Menard is a little bit further back still, but he also is coming. He has moved up to 17th position. Look for the 98, and you'll find him.
See the tape on the nose there where he got in that little contact with Chrissy Wallace on the first lap.
It's Michael Annett right in front of him. And Annett's been looking good all week here at Daytona. And just to give you an update there, you can see Danica is now 13 seconds behind. She started 15th, running in 33rd. As she's still a long way from going a lap down, but she has lost contact with that pack. Let's get more from Dave Burns.
Marty, looking at the 98 car of Paul Menard, he was not one of the cars whose teams negotiated for points in the offseason so that he had something to fall back on in case it rained out qualifying. So when rain did come on Friday and qualifying was blocked out, Paul Menard was in a position to go home. Fortunately, team management got involved, did a little negotiating with some of the guys who maybe weren't going to run the whole race here today, and got Paul into this field. Remember, their plan is to run the entire season this year and to run Paul for the championship. So they had a lot at stake and a lot of reason to negotiate with some of the other teams.
I love the term negotiating. On board with Justin Allgaier right there with the 43 of Scott Lagasse Jr. And he was one of the best looking Fords early in the first practice. Lagasse, of course, lost his ride midway through last year right after our August race in Iowa. And the 43. And as you can see, we're going to open up here to give you perspective on the track. There go the race leaders underneath. Then that second pack with Tony Stewart leading the way there in 7th. And there is the third group, and Danica Patrick all the way back there trying to get back into it. She's 34th now, Vince.
Well, as DJ and Andy suggested, the handling becomes more difficult the deeper you get into the fuel run, and Danica's handling on this car is going away some. Says she's got a significant push in the dog leg, and the car's loose coming out of turn 4, and she's having trouble keeping it from slipping up the track. So obviously they want to keep it down on the yellow line, being more difficult to do. Her spotter Chip Ross encouraging her, stay in the draft with the cars in front of you, but she's got a car that's not to her comfort level right now.
And
Marty?
we saw that guys, a couple of those laps where she was starting to drift up the mountain, going up the hill. All right, let's go back to the lead, because as Danica tries to maintain station and get to that first all-important pit stop, Tony Stewart is pulling the second group into contact with the first group.
Yeah, it won't be long. He'll be up there in that lead pack.
Right now, he is 2.2 seconds back from Kevin Harvick. While Tony tries to reel in the field, Kevin Harvick's trying to figure out what's going to happen on this first round of pit stops. What's the plan in their pit, Doc?
Well, Marty, a year ago, Kevin Harvick driving his own car. They got it done on the racetrack, but at times the Achilles heel for this team was what happened on pit road. You see, Kevin Harvick would borrow or lease a crew from a Cup team to do his car on Saturday. That all changed over the winter. Kevin bit the bullet and hired an entire pit crew, and they practiced 3 days a week at the shop with the trainer. How much will that make a difference? Well, we're going to find out the moment of truth about 10 laps away.
Well, Harvick in control right now as he leads Dale Earnhardt Jr., Carl Edwards, Joey Logano, Kyle Busch here at Daytona with a lot of laps left. Back here at Daytona International Speedway, where Kyle Busch has jumped up to second position while we were in the commercial break, and Tony Stewart has brought the freight train along with him. Look at this group that is tightened up here at Daytona at the top 4. Take a look from high above, get you the perspective. Our aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV. DirecTV, it'll change your life. Just call 1-800-DirecTV. So let's reset it for you. It's Harvick, Kyle Busch, Joey Logano 3rd, Junior is 4th, Dale Jr., Carl Edwards 5th, Tony Stewart is now 6th, and in 7th is Greg Biffle. And it is going to get a lot more interesting. There's Carl Edwards. He sort of got shuffled back right as we went to break, and now he has fallen into the clutches of Tony Stewart. That's lap traffic down below him, the 81 of Michael McDowell, who is 7 laps off the pace.
We've gotten to that point in the run where the tires have enough wear on them that they're having to lift off the throttle just a little bit in the corners. And you can see some of the better handling cars now moving their way to the front. You see the 18 cars made his way to second.
The 38 right behind this group. There he is, Casey Kane. He's also in this mix as well. And we'll still tell you, give you an update, there's still only the 4 cars that have crashed out of this event that have pulled behind the wall into the garage area. So starting park's not been a problem today.
No. Tony's been able to make this move to catch this front pack with Greg Biffle there in the 27 car helping push him. Greg's been able to stay right with him most of the time.
That's a lap car right there. You see Tony passing Mike Wallace.
Biffle gets under the 01 as well. Now Danica is 34th right now. Let's listen in on the radio.
I'm trying. He got such a big loss of speed out of 4 that I could pass him, and then, you know, just one or the other.
Yeah, drafted when that happens. Neither one of you got enough help to where you can do anything. So when that happens, you just got to roll up out the throttle, touch his bumper, and push him. Because you're trying to catch that pack in front of you. Y'all trying to work as a team together to get back up there.
Okay.
And if the first time she does that, I guarantee you she's never done that in an Indy car.
Yeah. Well, she's finding a lot of things here today. No, they don't. Okay, we're getting closer to pit stops here as we are working lap number 37 of 120. And your race leader is Kevin Harvick, but this one is far from over. Kevin Harvick has led 34 of the 39 laps we've completed here in the Drive for COPD 300 at Daytona. Right behind him, though, is the defending series champion, Kyle Busch, followed by Joey Logano, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Tony Stewart has moved up into 5th, and he's got the high line right here. Yeah, Tony's been on the bottom of the racetrack most of the time, but sometimes you stay down there that long, you'll wear that right front tire out a little bit. So Tony may be moving up to free his car up just a little. See as he's going by Joey Logano here, gets a nice pull.
Yeah, you see Logano losing a couple of spots. That's usually a product of having to get out of the throttle coming off the corner previous, and you lose so much momentum down the next straightaway. So a lot of cars, a lot of drivers out there struggling with the handling.
And you want to know why we talked about Tony Stewart, Kevin Harvick, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. with the last 8 wins? Look where they are. Kyle Busch is second. They've got the other 3 spots.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Kyle Busch has probably been saying all week, you know, they talk about this stuff, and my name's never mentioned about this. And even though he's someone we should, he's led laps here before, and he's certainly been right in the mix. He was on Tony's bumper last year, tried to give him a little push to get his Daytona trophy. But, you know, that's 4 of the best right there running in that top 4. Of course, Biffle has a cup win here.
And we're showing those viewers who may have just tuned in where Danica Patrick is. A lot of people are watching for the first time that may not have watched before. She's on the verge, though, of potentially going a lap down. She really needs a caution to stay on the lead lap, or she probably will lose it come pit stops.
Yeah, looks like Stewart's going to get another spot from Dale Earnhardt Jr. right here. Got a nice run in the corner on the high side. I think he's going to be able to clear Jr.
And Biffle's coming right along with him in the 27.
Yeah, Tony looks like he just hasn't had to come out of the throttle, and Biffle's sticking right there with him. They're just making pass every lap.
Did I see a gesture by Harvick there? Was he trying to signal something to Kyle Busch?
Yeah, they're coming up on pit stops. It won't be long. He'll be making his, so they're going to be using some hand signals to get themselves in position.
Boy, look at this. From 32nd at the start of the race, Tony has got a run on Kyle. He's going to look to the inside going into 3.
Yeah, you see?
Yeah, there. I thought I saw him waving his hand.
He's going to come in this time. And to make sure he doesn't get run over. This is a very critical point in the race, and trying to get on pit road is so hard without getting run over.
Yeah, that might be what Tony, the reason he went to the bottom. Yeah, he's going to pit with Harvick.
So the teammates, car owner Kevin Harvick and his driver in the number 4, Tony Stewart, will come down together. So will Greg Biffle, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Carl Edwards. Doc, it's all yours.
Let's see if Kevin Harvick's offseason investment in a pit crew does pay off. He said 4 tires, guys, no adjustments. The car is that good. Dave.
The 4-car of Tony Stewart says it feels like it's sagging on the right rear, needs to be popped up a little bit. They talked about a track bar adjustment, but then Smoke waved off on that and said, I want to go for wedge. 4 tires for him. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in as well with a loose race car. They'll fix that. Jamie?
Carl Edwards says he's just a tick tight. He actually has to lift coming off 2. Wedge adjustment, air pressure adjustment, 4 tires. He wants a room temperature bottle of water, and he's down and away. Oh, he stalls it. Uncharacteristic of Carl Edwards. He is down and away, guys.
It looks like they're having some trouble getting the cobwebs kind of blown out here. All the pit crews, a few mistakes, and now you see even a mistake by Carl Edwards.
Yeah, we saw the tire roll off from Tony's crew. They were able to get it back before he pulled out, so no penalty. Now, John West Townley, watch the 21, back of your screen on the left side, and he ran out of a little bit of racing room there, and boop, see that.
Well, he didn't need to be up beside that 6 car. He used to follow him in there.
Jamie, let's check in with you on this.
Well, we have a couple of teammates, Braun Racing teammates pitting now. The 38 is, of course, Casey Kane. He says his car is just a tick tight as well. 4 tires, fuel, and they're going to make an air pressure adjustment. The 32 of Brian Vickers, his teammate. We'll see him in this car 8 times. No adjustment, says the car is handling great. They're just down on speed. 4 tires for that bright yellow car of Brian Vickers.
And we can tell you John West Townley's going to get a pass through for running over the cone. He was 11th when he came into the pit. So that's going to hurt him there. And you can see we still have Kyle Busch and Joey Logano, Brian Vickers, Casey Kane, Michael Annett, Scott Riggs. These guys have yet to pit. Let's check in once again with Doc.
And here's Joey Logano on pit road. They are going to make a chassis adjustment. Joey said this car is in a 4-wheel drift to the corner, a 4-wheel slide. He said free it up a little bit so I can get the car to turn and be consistent. He wanted to wait a lap or 2. Uneventful stop for Logano.
So as Joey comes back out, right behind him there you see John West Townley as he is doing his pass-through penalty. And we're waiting to see when Kyle Busch will drop below the line to bring it in for his pit stop.
Now, that penalty was for hitting that cone. You can't hit that cone. That signifies where the pit road speed starts. Here comes Kyle on the pit road now.
So as the 18 comes in, we get word that the 62 of Brendan Gaughan is going to get a penalty for a pit road equipment violation. Let's check in with Dave Burns.
18 of Kyle Busch is in now. What he wanted from the car, it actually got pretty balanced over that run. The nose was floating at first, but then the tire wear caught up with it, and it was fairly balanced. But that chassis adjustment in the back window, that's to help the car be a little bit freer at the start of the run. Just a little bit looser so it comes around better in these turns. Brendan Gaughan goes by for his pass-through penalty, and off of pit road goes Kyle Busch.
Pretty darn good pit time there, 15.2.
Yeah, no problems right there. Everything looked pretty clean. He's going to have to blend in with the cars now that did pit. You see Danica Patrick now making her first green flag pit stop.
10 away. Right there, 4,000.
She looks like she's running awful fast pit road speed. I don't know. We'll see.
And you're 15. And you're 10. 10 away, right around this black car right here. 5, 4, 3, right here. Nice easy. Come on. Looking good. You're going to stop right there, baby. Good. Straight wheel straight, right?
4 tires and 2 rounds down on the track bar for Danica Patrick. They will give her 4 tires at each and every stop because Tony Eury Jr. thinks it's most important that she has the consistent car, so they won't gamble on their pit stops.
Go, go, go. Easy, easy, easy on that motor. Easy. You're good. Just go get all you get. Left after the deal. Left on the yellow. Left on the yellow. Left on the yellow around turn 1.
She's used to hammering the throttle because they got rev limiters over an IndyCar.
Yeah, you got to be careful when you drop that jack and you rev that thing up. You can, a couple things. You can break some of the drivetrain parts, and you can also over rev the motor. Even though they do have rev limiters also, you still have to be careful with it.
Yeah, but these things are so hard. They have such a high gear in them, and they're hard to get going out of that spot. As we see a battle here now. This is all the guys right up front after these pit stops.
Joey Logano, Greg Biffle, followed by Carl Edwards. You've also, well, pick your favorite driver because they're there. There's Smoke, the 88 of Dale Jr., the 33 of Harvick, and the 18 of Kyle Busch. Also want to pass along another penalty. Jeff Green in the 05, a pass-through penalty, non-compliant fueling. So that's going to hurt their day here at Daytona. On board with Tony. He's about to get a little nudge. Maybe.
Yeah, they're feeling a little more racy now with these new tires on.
Yeah, everybody feels like Superman for a few laps there. You get that, especially after you've run almost 50 laps with those tires before. Of course, a lot of these guys are like Superman.
How about Biff? He's gained 24 spots now.
And as you look at this group, we got to point out, don't forget, Tony Raines, Joe Nemechek, Eric McClure, Sauter, they have not pitted yet. And there is Tony. They still got to come in. Remember, they came in earlier. Raines pitted on lap number 10, so he can go a little bit further.
Yeah, just hoping they may get a break with a caution or something that would keep them in good shape.
Yeah, because if they do pit under the green, they're going to go back a lap down almost for sure. That's Morgan Shepherd right in front of the 27. And Nemechek wants to lead a lap, 5 bonus points and a little camera time.
Might as well take advantage of it. Don't stay out here. Let's do something with it.
Well, as he comes into the turn 3 area, if he holds on, he will lead the lap here. And that would give us our 4th different leader. The man who's led the most has been Kevin Harvick. He's had 37 of them. But we've got a lot more racing still to come here at Daytona.
Fluid right rear spun out.
We have come back from a commercial break because Mike Wallace in the 01 has spun it here at Daytona and has brought out our 3rd caution.
Yeah, one thing that's done now, we had a few cars that had not pitted yet, so we're kind of in the middle of a cycle. Danica Patrick found herself a lap down, but she should get the lucky dog free pass right here because she's the first car lap down.
Well, and the 3 guys this really benefits also is Nemechek, Rains, and Sauter. Well, he just lost it.
Yeah, it didn't look like no contact or anything, just kind of went around.
Could a tire have possibly gone down?
It ran pretty quick.
Yeah, really turned around going into the corner.
Well, he did manage to keep it off the wall, but whoa, started to slide back up the hill. Well, and you mentioned it, Danica Patrick gets the Aaron's lucky dog. So the race gods are smiling on her early as she'll get back on the lead lap here at Daytona as we are working lap number 52 of 120.
Yeah, that's a big break for her, but they really need to go to work now and try to get her further up in this line, and she needs to probably be a little more aggressive.
At the end of the run, I felt like the balance came back to me. It was like it started off okay, and then it went to oversteer for a while, and then it went and balanced out at the end. So I could keep my foot in the throttle more than everyone else, it looked like, because, I mean, I thought I kept a pretty decent gap once I got by.
Yeah, you did good. You just gotta really work on trying to get in there. I know if the car ain't right, you can't do it, but you just gotta really try to hustle that thing to where you can keep that gap. You got a car length in between that car. When you go into the corner, you want to keep it. That's what your main goal is, and that way both cars run faster.
Yeah, it's almost like I get up behind them and I get like the arrow push and then it catches the oversteer or something. Because it's really just on the edge when I'm right behind people. If I just, drop back a car length or 2 and go a little bit lower than them, I mean, it just feels 10 times better.
Yeah, but she, like I said, you could hear Tony Jr. telling her she needs to be a little more aggressive to try to stay up with the cars in front of her and try to stay with faster cars. This car is going to drive like she's talking about no matter where she's running, who she's running with. But if she's running up a little farther up, she will, at least not lose the draft.
And this is the feeling she's got to get comfortable with, and she's not right now.
Yeah, she has to, and she's talking about when she gets down underneath those cars that it feels better there, but you have to stay in that slipstream to really utilize the draft, and that's what she's going to have to really work on.
Well, you can see Nemechek, Rains, and Sauter. They're going to finally make their pit stops as also Tony Stewart's going to come in. But you saw that it looked like the 18 stayed out of Kyle Busch.
Yeah, he did stay on the track, but now remember, he made his pit stop a lot later than some of the other cars.
There's smoke on the right side of your screen. A lot of damage on that 34 of Tony Rains. He came in second place. Joe Nemechek, Johnny Sauter. Bet you never thought we'd have that in a triple box, but there's your 3 leaders that came in. So let's give them their due.
You see Carl Edwards coming off pit road just ahead of Tony Stewart.
Here comes Nemechek out as well. 38 of Casey Kane. There's Tony Rains as he comes off. Kevin Harvick. How about the Nationwide Insurance race off pit road? And Dale Earnhardt Jr. picked up 4 spots. Carl Edwards picked up 6 from coming in.
How about Legacy? Gains 10 spots there.
2 tires, as you can see, for Carl Edwards and none for Junior and Tony Stewart. So Greg Biffle right now is shown as your race leader with Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski with Paul Menard, who started dead last in the field, now 4th. Back here at Daytona International Raceway, just past the bottom of the hour. It is the season opener for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Glad that you're with us. We have had 5 different leaders with 5 lead changes. We've had 3 cautions for a total now of 11 laps, soon to be 12. Our leader is Greg Biffle right now, as he's a few cars back. They're getting the wave around right there. Here he is in the 27 car. And Danica Patrick has moved into the 27th position. She got the Aaron's lucky dog. And let's take it back during the commercial break. We told you about how pit stops could be crucial. Let's show you what happened.
Whoa. All right, you can go ahead and be easy on the motor. Switch.
Had that been green flag, that would have been a disaster.
Yeah, that would have cost her dearly there. And you got to be careful with the clutch and all the running gear right there. Like Dale said, these cars are geared real high, and it's difficult to get out of that pit stall.
Yeah, and that's a natural thing that's going to happen after they tell you not to over-rev the motor. You're going to stall it out. That's not, that's partly being a rookie, but you see other guys. Carl Edwards did it a while ago, too.
2 wave arounds to tell you about. 62 of Brendan gone and Stanton Barrett in the 31. We've got 31 total cars on the lead lap right now. 4 cars are out of the race. Bliss, Bain, Teague, and Chrissy Wallace. Men's college basketball action continues on ESPN Saturday primetime, and SEC Showdown. Number 12 Tennessee visits Rupp Arena to battle number 2 Kentucky. Saturday primetime presented by DirecTV. It's all part of Rivalry Week, presented by Cisco on ESPN at 9 Eastern. Coverage begins with College Game Day, driven by State Farm at 8 Eastern. For more, just log on to ESPN.com. Let's check in with Dr. Jerry Punch.
Guys, remember we told you Kevin Harvick had made a major investment in the offseason with a new pit crew to see how they would do. Here's what he had to say about their first stop of the year.
If we lose this race because of a pit stop, I'm going to have a freaking heart attack.
Yeah, 10-4. Hopefully they got that bad one out of the way. We'll hopefully get her done from here on out.
Stop coaches, new shoes, higher salaries, slower pit stops. Doesn't add up. I think you guys are getting tired. Everybody laughing on you at pit road.
Obviously, Kevin, not a happy camper right now. As we go back to green flag racing, it's Biffle, Kyle Busch, Menard, Keselowski, Riggs. That's your top 5. Harvick is all the way back to 13th. That's why he's mad.
He was one of the cars there that took on 4 tires, a little different strategy than what some of these other ones did that had just been in not too many laps ago.
Keep an eye on that 6th place car, Scott Riggs. Remember, this is an unsponsored race machine right now. We talk about opportunities that bring on a sponsor. You do real well in this race. It has a tendency to get people's attention.
Well, that's certainly why they're here, hoping that they can have some good things to happen where they can get some dollars to fund this team and continue to race.
Looking further back in the pack, Danica still trying to find that comfort level. She's still leaving about a car length and a half before she gets up underneath somebody.
Yeah, and that's just something that takes time and experience to get used to what you can do with this and what you have to do if you're going to continue to hold on to that draft.
Oh, what's going to happen? You see a big pack right now. That's going to separate. You're going to have probably 2 or 3 packs in about 10 or 12 laps. She needs to make sure she's at the head of these things so she can stay with the faster cars. She needs to try to be more aggressive in this situation.
Coming down the backstretch now, still Biffle holding station. Brad Keselowski and Kyle Busch duking it out for 2nd and 3rd. Riggs doing a real nice job in that 09. Tucked down on that low line. Here comes Junior to the middle of the racetrack. If somebody goes with him, here comes Smoke. That'll give him some help. It's Menard that may be left out on the high side.
Yeah, when you see drivers like this go to that middle, most time you say you don't want to be there, but they'll generally get some help, and it makes it look like that really works well.
Paul Menard saying, fellas, what'd you do to me? What did I do? He had worked his way all the way back up to 4th, but now he's getting the NASCAR Daytona shuffle all the way back as, boy, Scott Riggs now up to 4th.
And you see Kyle Busch jump to that outside to get that push from Dale Jr. and Tony.
See, Scott Riggs, yeah, he's made up 35 spots since the start of the race.
Just real impressed with the leader of this race, Greg Biffle, and this race team. They've been fast the entire time down here.
Remember, that's a Baker Curb Racing, as he'll be running a limited schedule with them. And right now, out in front, back, there's checking in. There's Brendan Gaughan right behind Danica Patrick. Eric McClure on the high side. And you talked about losing contact. There's a lot more gap there from the last time we checked.
Yeah, she's doing what she needs to do there. She cars in front of her had to get out of the throttle. She took advantage of it. She was 3 wide for just a moment. That's what she needs to do right now.
Look at Kevin Harvick in the 33 trying to slice up the middle. Let's get an update on Kyle Busch as we watch all this action from Dave Burns.
Marty, sometimes the only way you can win at Daytona is to get partners to work with. But what if you're Kyle Busch, and what if you've been feeling a little lonely out there? Listen to his radio.
Why is it that it seems that I have nobody that wants to work with me? Because they're already scared to death you're going to beat them. They don't want to help you.
Well, Jason Ratcliffe, the crew chief, told me this morning that getting this car to handle is the most important thing. You heard Kyle talk about that in our countdown show today. If they got a great handling race car, he's already proven he can keep it at the front of the pack. If he can just get someone to help him a little bit.
Well, it looks like another car has gotten shuffled to the middle as Carl Edwards got underneath the... Looked like Scott Riggs and sort of pushed him back a few spots.
Yeah, I think Scott Riggs is thinking the same thing Kyle Busch is. I want somebody to work with me here. I got a good car. I'm up here. And they just hung him right in the middle.
Yeah, I can tell Kyle Busch, when he set all the records that he set last year, people get a little bit envious of things like that. So they're probably not going to be too willing to help him add something else to his resume.
How about Brad Keselowski in this 22 car? He's come all the way from the back now, and he's got this thing really going toward the front.
Transmission linkage. Thought they were going to have a problem right at the start of the race. It has not reared its ugly head. He is in second spot, side by side with Kyle Busch. Right behind him, Carl Edwards in the 60 and the 88 of Dale Earnhardt Jr. And there is Tony Stewart right behind the 88.
And looking at this 22 car, Brad Keselowski up there, I think we all questioned a little bit, how strong would they be? Adding a second team over there at Roger Penske's in the Nationwide Series, did they have the people and the resources to get it all done to come out here strong? I think he's answering our question. Dave?
And DJ, they pulled from a number of different teams, including CGM Racing, JTG Racing, Baker Curb, Hendrick Motorsports, KHI, and put together a really solid group for this race. But they said one of the most important things was Brad's presence at the shop. He knows these race cars. He spent time with us, and he's the one who's got us most pumped up about coming to Daytona.
He's pumping that throttle pedal right now as he and Kyle Busch try and track down our race leader, but those three are trying to pull away. Looking in again on Danica, and not close enough to do any bump drafting yet, and that's going to have to be the next stop on her learning curve, is to get up tight enough that she can push somebody.
It looks like they've got her car handling a little bit better, though. She's a little more aggressive this run.
Yeah, she's doing what she needs to do right now. She's still right there in that big group of cars. Speaking of a big group, look at this group.
You got
3 wide for a minute.
Yeah, Smoke was pushing the 88. Here comes Carl. And on the high side, looks like we may have another lead change as if it can hold on at the stripe. As Brad Keselowski looks like he is going to lead this lap, and that will give us our 6th different leader.
Contact there between Michael Annett and Casey Kane in that 38 car.
And they're still 3 wide. And there is a lot of skating going on. Michael Annett's the only hockey player in that whole group in the 15.
Yeah, Casey told us in the pre-race show that his car wasn't to his liking, and I'm not sure they've gotten it there yet.
Well, there's teammates right there, the 38 and the 10, and got a tire rub, it looks like, right in front of him.
Yeah, that's Michael Annett, and I think maybe that left rear might be rubbing a little bit after that contact.
Also in this mix, the 32 of Brian Vickers, as you can see him there on the high side of the track. Let's get an update on his situation from Jamie.
He actually has a very damaged race car on those last round of pit stops. It was Bobby Gerhardt who checked up in front of Brian Vickers and smashed Vickers' nose. The good news is his temperatures are good right now, and even better news, he can still use the bumper, and he's just going nothing but forward, Marty.
Did you see Stewart go sideways? Whoa. Manages to wheel and steer it back on course. But I think my heart was fluttering. I don't know about his.
Just another day at work for him.
Yeah, he'd probably say, what are you guys talking about?
Check it out.
There we
Another
go.
3 wide.
This is right behind Tony. 27 of Biffle's starting to get pushed back a little bit. He's got no help. He's hung out on the low side.
Tell you what we're seeing, these guys have been able to make some adjustments on these race cars, and they're getting a lot more racy now, which makes it a lot more fun for everybody.
Well, we have passed the halfway mark. And,
they're still sliding, though.
Still got a lot of racing to go, but you're right. They have picked up the tempo as far as the aggressiveness is concerned. Tony Stewart looking to go underneath the 22. As this battle up front, we keep swapping the lead. This could be our 7th lead change if it holds at the stripe. Coming down that backstretch, heading for turn number 3.
Check out how far Harvick has come now. Restarted 13th, going for 2nd for Brad Keselowski right now.
And he's underneath him, you're right, the 33. Kevin Harvick doing the job out on the track. You heard the displeasure of the last pit stop.
Tell you somewhere else that Kevin Harvick's been getting it done. That's at the shop. The top 2 cars came out of KHI.
Yeah, and you don't like those bad pit stops, but sometimes there's nothing like a little bad effort there or fired up. Yeah, get that driver going. So
the guys that are running 1-2 have won the last 5 nationwide races here at Daytona in February. Tony Stewart has won 4 of them, and in 07 it was Kevin Harvick. One guy who would love to win for his first time here at Daytona is in that 60 car, Carl Edwards. He finished 2nd last year to Stewart by 68 1,000th of a second. Kyle Busch down right behind him. Right now it looks like the 22 needs some help from Dale Jr. They both have slid back a little bit.
Yeah, and I talked about these cars driving better, but I tell you what, these guys are wheeling these race cars. They are sideways. They've just got them better now to where they can hang on to them.
61 of Josh Wise is doing the smart thing. He's getting up way high and saying, fellas, go on by. And that's exactly what they're doing. There's their top 5. We have passed halfway, but the fun is still more to come. I'm gonna go it alone. Multiple car crash, including Danica Patrick, among many others, here on the front straightaway. Brian Scott, the 21 of John West Townley. Colin Brown, the 31, is also in this mix of Stanton Barrett. That's what's left of the right front corner of Danica's car.
Yeah, this all developed in front of her. This crash did. She did a good job of avoiding most of it, but then just couldn't avoid all the cars in it.
Also in it is the 61 of Josh Wise, the 48 of Johnny Sauter. This is going to be a long one.
Wheels to the left. Go again.
That's what's left of Josh Wise's car. And there is Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And his debut here at Daytona is pretty well torn up, and he's on fire. Back to the 6. The 6 is on fire. We've got parts and pieces all over this racetrack. And there is the fire still going. Stenhouse is out of the car, but this baby is burning. Lower portion of your screen.
You can see just a little bit of misjudgment there.
Yeah, that was
61
a lap car.
got turned.
Josh Wise was a lap car,
and she had nowhere to go.
Yeah, she just, gets by that car right there, but there's just nothing. I know it looks like room, but you're traveling at a high rate of speed, and she almost made it.
Take a look from another angle. A little lower this time.
See all of this develop right there, and as these cars start sliding, more cars get involved. You just hope that a hole opens up for you.
10 of Leffler, boy, they had high hopes for this season. It's not going to start off the way they had wanted.
You had 2 of Roush's cars involved in that. Stenhouse and Colin Brown both involved.
There you go.
Okay, let's go on board and listen.
Doing a nice job. Still clear by 3 from behind. Being in front of you. Back it down. He's up here against the wall. Up here against the wall. He's against the wall, against the wall, against the wall.
I thought she did a good job, but just nowhere to go.
Yeah,
that's
all that you can do. It's just hope, and you know, you can't, there's very little visibility that you have there. Again, even though you're slowing down, see right here, just didn't have quite enough room. She could see the cars on the left and knew she couldn't go there, so she just had to try to hold it and hope that hole cleared out.
Well, Roush Fenway loses 2 cars in this deal, both Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and the 16 of Colin Brown. All right, let's listen live right now.
Man, that was a mess. I think something's just... I couldn't turn it up the hill.
Yeah, we can guarantee you that. It is definitely got some damage to it.
Yeah, you know, Andy and I were just talking and watching her, how much better she was doing this time of keeping up with the draft and the pack and a little bit more aggressive. I'm sure part of that was her getting more used to it and then working on the car, but she really was doing a good job there.
She actually picked up 6 spots from 27th to 21st, and that was by passing on the racetrack. So it wasn't stuff that she had inherited, but you can see the damage now as the big one has happened here in our season opener at Daytona, and we've still got a big mess to clean up. Stay with us, though. Our 4th caution is taking out a lot of race cars.
We are just past halfway today at Daytona International Speedway, and a multi-car accident off turn 4 has claimed, among others, Danica Patrick's machine. That car being pushed back toward the garage while the field is brought down pit road. The pit road is closed, but the leaders being brought down pit road to avoid running through all the debris that this multi-car accident off turn number 4 has scattered all across the racetrack. Let's get caught up on what's happened so far with the 5-hour Energy Rapid Recap. Danica Patrick's NASCAR debut from the 15th starting position, and had some ups and downs on the day. First of all, barely missed a wreck at lap 7.
Oh, yeah, but look at this. He did a great job getting through the traffic. Checks up a little bit there, pulls that baby down the bottom side, misses everybody. Good run early for her.
We talked before the start of the race about pit stops and what they would be like. Danica down pit road on her 2nd stop, getting some instructions from the crew.
All right, you go ahead, be easy on the motor.
Looks like she stalled out there, and that is a difficult situation she's in. She's been worried about this all week long, and it did happen to her. She stalled the car out, couldn't get it rolling, and cost herself a few spots on pit road.
And then the big wreck, and trouble found Patrick off turn number 4. The wreck starting up in front of her, and just no place to go.
No, and she was doing a good job, had the car better coming up through the field. Unfortunately, when you go to the back, you have a tendency to maybe get caught up in things like this. As you can see there, she just clips the car, turns across, no fault of her own, out into the outside wall.
10 cars involved in that wreck that began, it looked like, when the 61 of Josh Wise was clipped by the 16 of Colin Brown, and all those cars swept into the mess. As far as the lead is concerned, up front it is Tony Stewart, who is still running behind the pace car, waiting on pit stops while pit road is still closed. Radio from the 7 car just after the wreck.
But, you know, there's nothing you can do. The last time they crashed in front of me, I just held it straight, and they spun below me. This time I kept it straight, hoping they'd spin out of the way, and they didn't.
The tough thing about this, she didn't do anything wrong whatsoever. The problem is you have no vision. I mean, it's like a Days of Thunder movie. It's all smoke. You're just going through it, and you're hoping you clear, and all of a sudden, bam, there's a car parked in front of you. I mean, she learned a lot today, no doubt about that. Cars tore up pretty bad. She'll come back and learn from this experience, but I really can't put a fault on her at all right now, Ray.
No, I can't either, Rusty. Now, as you said, you're going 190 miles an hour. You're trying to slow down, get run over from the back. Car's moving, can't see where you're going. Did what she could.
Well, we knew this was a possibility in this race today for her. So the worst scenario has played itself out. She got some good laps in. She learned a little bit today. Now she'll move forward, and we look forward to seeing her racing again when it's not a restrictor plate race to see what she can really do.
That'll be next Saturday at California with the 2nd race of the season. Meanwhile, that is John West Townley, who's going to be held 1 lap. Remember, I talked about how NASCAR was bringing the field down pit road to allow the safety workers clear access to the front straightaway to clean up the mess. Well, John West didn't get that message, or there was some confusion there, but he ran through the front straightaway instead of going down the pit road, and so he's being penalized 1 lap by NASCAR. So caution is out for a 10-car wreck off turn number 4, just past halfway in today's race, and Danica Patrick's NASCAR debut is done. Still under caution here at Daytona International Speedway. Pit road still closed while Danica Patrick talks with Tony Eury Jr. about her Daytona experience and the experience that ended it in the big 10-car pileup off of turn number 4 just a minute ago.
Yeah, just found herself in the wrong place, the wrong time, even though she was doing a better job getting her car up to speed and trying to race with some of these guys, and just had nowhere to go.
And you see Josh Wise come off of turn 4, gets tapped behind from Colin Brown. All heck breaks loose. Everybody's involved in it. Both the Rouse's cars are tore up, and Danica no place to go. Got the right front fender took off, the suspension. She learned a lot, though.
Wow, cars through the grass, cars on the track, everywhere. Cars on the pit road, everywhere. This is your very typical trouble in turn 4 at Daytona.
It is, and there ain't no way, as they say, to experience it without experiencing it. So, you know, she got a world of experience there today. It's a shame, as I said, she was doing a good job bringing that car back up through the field after adjustments having a pit stop.
Now check out this. 5 of the 6 drivers making their first Daytona start have been involved in accidents. And what was it you said to me during the commercial?
I said if I was the 6th guy, I'd be looking for a safe place.
All right, Dr. Punch is down by the care center where some of those involved in the wreck have come out.
Not a good day for 2 Roush Fenway drivers. A couple of impressive rookies. Ricky Stenhouse on the right, Colin Brown on the left. Guys, from your vantage point, what happened?
Oh, I couldn't see anything. I just saw a bunch of smoke and tried to lock it down there and get to the bottom, but I don't know, one of the cars came across the outside and got us in the right front. But all in all, I mean, I learned a lot today, had a lot of fun. It was a blast out there. Just too bad for our City Financial Ford Fusion. We didn't want to start the season this way, but you know, we'll have to go on to California and shake it off and get back up there.
Colin?
Well, for me, I mean, I guess I was kind of right in the middle of it. I don't know exactly what happened. I got, I guess, put in a bad spot. That 61 moved around, and next thing I know, I was getting pushed on from behind and the side and everywhere. So I just feel bad for my number 16 Conway Freight Ford Fusion guys. They did a really good job on that car. Struggled there early on, but my crew chief, Eddie Pardue, made a good adjustment. And I thought we were pretty fast and pretty good there towards the end of that run.
All right, a couple of Rookie of the Year candidates out here just past the halfway.
All right, Doc, thanks. And I think I'm seeing the signal here that pit road is going to be open this time. And so this is going to be a set of, well, get that safety truck out of the way. This is going to be a crucial set of pit stops here, Ray.
It really is. They're right on their window. Back in the old days, if we said, hey, you know, come in, put your tires on, and you're done. But right now, with a new green-white checker rule, could extend it.
45 to go, Doc.
And this final pit stop, well, it should be the final pit stop if we stay green. 33, Kevin Harvick coming back down. Remember the trouble they had early on, the problems with the jack. A jack is one pump and a bump. Thus far, it is flawless. Dave.
Tony Stewart's fast race car is really, really loose. They're going to put as much Sunoco fuel as they can get in there to go to the end, but they're going to make an air pressure adjustment. Already made a wedge adjustment to try to tighten it up. Jamie.
Carl Edwards wants to free it up a bit. Track bar adjustment up. Sunoco fuel. 4 tires. They told him to save fuel. Be cognizant. 12 and he has a little bit of trouble going off. 14.5 for Carl Edwards.
All right, so Edwards got to the scoring line at pit exit first, although had that hiccup trying to stall it. Everybody with 4 tires, and again, Kevin Harvick now going to be in the 4th position, and Tony Stewart, the big loser on that round of stops.
Tell you what, that's what you got to do, though. No 2 tires, none of that stuff. Just pour 4 in these things, pack them full of fuel, because it looks to me, Ray, they're going to be able to go all the way if they choose to do so. Tires are very, very important here. If a caution does come back out, they need to come back down, get some tires on that thing, because handling is going to become an issue late in this race.
And we got to remember, we saw earlier that the 88 and the 4 chose not to take tires, so they could have an extra set of tires.
Quick reminder before we get the restart that the NHRA season is getting underway out in Pomona, California. As always, it's the Craig and O'Reilly NHRA Winter Nationals, qualifying 11 Eastern tonight here on ESPN2, and the finals 8 Eastern time on Sunday. After a rainout last night, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series runs its season opener here at Daytona tonight. Little day-night doubleheader in Daytona. That's on speed at 7 Eastern time. Tomorrow morning, the Daytona 500 preview edition of NASCAR Now at 9 a.m. Eastern on ESPN2. I got to get you out of bed early, Brad, for Sunday morning work.
No problem. We can do it.
And then the Monday roundtable wrap-up of the Daytona 500. That's 5 Eastern time. Next weekend, it's on to California with NASCAR Nationwide Series race number 2. That's Saturday at 5 Eastern with NASCAR Countdown on ESPN2. We got a lot going on in the next few days. We got a lot going on after this restart with 45 laps to go. So let's head to break with this latest round of pit stops, and Mark Hollywood Armstrong take us for a trip.
Okay, guys, here we go. Just need a nice, smooth stop on the 5-hour Toyota. Kids, don't try this at home. Come on, baby, let's go. Come on now, get on out there and get you some. Get you some.
The hand is quicker than the eye.
Want to know why Carl Edwards is the leader? Tony Stewart's a little bit further back. Let's take you to the pit stop. This is how important they really are. Watch the right front on the number 4. This is a problem.
Yeah, you can see right here, they're making the right side stop. They get it up, get the tire off. Everything's clean so far. right there. They have a hard time getting that tire in that hole now. That fender is so tight. These speedway cars, you get so much gain from those cars having those tight fender wells, but it can really hurt you on these pit stops.
So Tony finds himself back in 7th, and look at the difference, 17.2, 3 seconds and change. And the tight wheel well comes back to haunt the number 4, but he's got enough car underneath him. Don't count him out by any stretch of the imagination. Let's reset it for you. It's Edwards, Kyle Busch, Logano, Harvick, Earnhardt Jr., Brad Keselowski, Tony Stewart, Greg Biffle. That's your top 8. Here we go back to green. Busch has got the high side working this time. Harvick right behind him. But here comes Edwards right back.
Yeah, on these restarts, it's just a matter of who gets a good push, who's going to be able to get out front.
Down the backstretch, Kyle Busch opening up a little bit of room. Got about a car length on the 33, but here comes the 60 of Edwards, and here comes Kyle down to the low side. While all this is going on, Vince is caught up with Danica Patrick.
Certainly didn't end the way Danica had hoped. What did you see or not see on that incident?
I think it was not see. You know, in the very first accident that happened in 1 and 2, cars came together, smoke, and I just kind of like let off the throttle and slowed down, and they slid down the track. And then this one, you know, there's smoke and I can't see anything again, and you know, I try and just slow down and roll it through the corner, and then, you know, and that time it, you know, we all hit. So that's the tough thing about this racing. I can see what they've all said all along with these big tracks is, you know, smoke comes up and you're running so close out there that, you know, there's nowhere to go. But and the disappointing part more than anything is just that, you know, I missed out on getting, you know, 40 or whatever laps left of experience that I could have got, and the car was finally, you know, where I liked it, and I felt confident as a driver to be able to run in a pack, so I was finally kind of getting the hang of it.
Albeit a shorter experience than what you wanted, what do you take from today?
Well, I can tell you that I'll be a lot more confident and prepared for next year. This is some really difficult racing. It really is. You know, the cars are definitely on the edge here. And as you can see, you know, someone gets a little bit out of shape and everybody's on top of each other. And then, you know, since the car don't slow down, it doesn't slow down very well, and you're already on the edge of grip, that everything happens. So, you know, I'm glad that I got that second stint in to be able to get more confidence out there. But it's never fun when, you know, crash up a perfectly good car that wasn't your fault.
Danica Patrick done for today, but back on track next week at Fontana. Marty.
Welcome to Restrictor Plate Racing. And boy, take a look at the action that we have going on up front. It is our 10th different leader, 12 total lead changes. The record is 12 leaders, set back in 1995. It's Edwards, Kyle Busch, Jr., Harvick, Stewart, Vickers. That's your top 6. And we want to salute DirecTV for our aerial coverage. DirecTV, it'll change your life. Call 1-800-DirecTV. A little bit further back there is Casey Kane in the 38, and it looks like Rusty's 2 guys have hooked up. That's Brendan Gaughan right in front of the 66 of Stephen Wallace. All of that is for 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th.
And you see Joey Logano in that mix too. He was up there, tried to make it 3 wide and advance up into the top 5, and they kind of hung him out to dry, and now he's back outside the top 10.
Yeah, looks like Junior hung him in the middle there, or hung him to the bottom side. He lost that momentum. See him now getting racy up front.
Yeah, and what they're doing to Kyle right now.
Yeah, see you, Kyle. We're going to dump you here. Bye-bye.
That's exactly what they did to Logano.
He's going, oh, man.
Where are my friends?
That's what happens, like you said, when you win the championship.
It's kind of lonely down there.
Here comes for the lead, Dale Jr. He's got help from Harvick down low. Here comes Stewart. Looks like Carl's going to get the shuffle. All of a sudden, also, keep an eye on that 32 of Vickers. He's got that car dialed in after that last round of pit stops.
Yeah, and Vickers knows what to do with this draft, too. He's run well here in the past. Hadn't talked much about him today, but it's coming time to get down and decide who's going to win this thing, and he wants to be part of it.
Brad Keselowski in the mix right behind Vickers. And remember, driving a Dodge, and Dodge has not won a nationwide race since August of 2007. That's right. It's been that long. Jamie, what's the latest on the 32?
Well, remember, I reported he had that damage on the front of his nose. I believe that is actually helping him now. After the damage, he got shuffled back to 23rd. He says the car is great now, haven't made any adjustments. They have 2 sets of sticker tires left.
Okay, if that's the case, Mike Tyson would have been much better if he had his nose punched in all the time. Take a look here at you got Carl Edwards, the 18, and all of a sudden we've got a caution coming out. We've got debris
caution. Yeah, we've got a lot of cars that had some damage, probably taped up, and some of it's come loose.
Well, that's one piece out there. And that's on the backstretch. So we are going to have now our 5th caution. So the field will slow down and we'll regroup. Now, question is, do you pit?
Well, I mean, they can obviously probably make it on fuel if they don't have any extension as far as green-white checkers go. I'm at the back of the pack or mid-pack, and I've got a set of tires. Wouldn't hurt to get them on right now.
We got 25 cars on the lead lap. It's easy for me to say. Jeff Green is the first car, 1 lap down. So he will get the lucky dog.
I'd like to have tires right now.
Yeah, I'd have to think that they may think there's going to be another caution, and if they do have a set of tires, they might be holding on to those.
Well, with 36 laps to go, we'll find out.
I heard a couple of cars had a couple of sets of tires left. Had 2 sets left. I'd definitely put a set on now.
It'd definitely be
11 different leaders. Remember, the record is 12 set back in 1995. We've had 13 lead changes, and the pits are open. And we mentioned Jeff Green will be the lucky dog winner. So he'll get back on the lead lap, and that will give us 26 cars on the lead lap. Anybody going to take a road?
Looks like the leaders are going to stay out.
Yeah, a little bit further back, though. Got a few cars coming. All right, we've got a chance. Let's talk to our in-race reporter, Tony Stewart.
Hey, Smoke, Dale Jarrett, do you have a copy?
Yeah, man.
Well, looks like you once again have a hot rod there that's capable of winning. Your car owner and Junior, are they your biggest competition, you think?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think, Kevin and I got even cars here, obviously. I mean, it's awesome. It's hard to build a really, really good super speedway car, let alone build 2 of them, and they've done a good job of that. But I think you're right. I'd say the guys right in front of us are the worst ones we got to worry about right now.
Hey, Smoke, looking on TV, it really looks like these cars move around and slide around a lot. It's a handful to drive these things in the draft, right?
Yeah, it really is. It's the hard part is you don't run as fast in practice as you do in the race because you don't get this many good cars together. But yeah, we've been fighting loose, and Butch and these guys have been doing a great job with this Oreos, Rich Chevrolet, and we're getting tighter and tighter finally. So that's what we're working on, get it there where I can go where I want at the end of the day.
Hey, Tony, we were discussing up here whether anybody would pit right there, but how important are new tires? Does it really give you a much better feel of the race car?
Well, I think some of it. I mean, I think we can make it on fuel here. So guys it's kind of too early in the run to get the benefit of the tires and get yourself in bad track position. So it's just a matter of, we can make it to the end. So if everything goes right, we're in the position we want to be. But if we have to come pit and get tires later, we will. But right now, I think everybody's just trying to make it on what they got.
All right, man, it's been fun to watch. We'll be watching these next 35. Good luck.
All right, but thanks.
So the latest from Tony Stewart, and some really good information there as we're going to step aside for a break. And oh man, as she makes her way over to the media center, look at the crowd. Even as she's out of the race, it never ends. Welcome back to the NASCAR Nationwide Series opener here at Daytona. And make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. Lights are out on the pace car. And Dale Jr. is our race leader right alongside Kevin Harvick, who is a 2007 winner here. Tony Stewart, who has won 4 out of the last 5. And right behind him, Brian Vickers. We got a report from Jamie a little during the break. Vickers said, hey, what happens if we go 3 green-white checkers? Do we have enough fuel? And there's some other teams that, if that really were to come into play, it might be a key factor.
Yeah, they're thinking about it. They don't, right now they're thinking about just going the distance, but, you know, they're thinking about the possibility of having to go the extra distance.
Well, we're about to find out. Also, can Dale Earnhardt Jr. win again in the Nationwide Series? It would be his 6th in this series here at Daytona. Boy, what a boost that would be for his 2010.
Oh, certainly would, but pretty interesting. The guys we've talked about the last couple of days that have won the last 8 are up there right now.
There they are.
Top
1, 2, and 3. Total of 26 cars on the lead lap. 12 cars are out of this race. Most of those in that 10-car pileup. Pace car getting ready to make the dive toward pit road. Dale Jr. has chosen the low inside line. Brings him to the stripe. Green flag is out. We're racing again here at Daytona with 32 laps to go. On board with Harvick in the low line, starting to make a push. Just got word Brian Keselowski is going to get a pass-through penalty. He is 13th right now. He had a good run going. He passed before the start-finish line.
Yeah, the problem is he got hung behind the 1 car, James Busher, who's having a problem on restarts. Didn't get going very good at all, and Brian just went around him and got penalized for it.
Oh, this is going to get interesting.
Well, could see smoke jump up there in the outside line trying to get a push from his car owner there, Kevin Harvick. He has his sights set on that 88 of Dale Jr.
That's as close as you want to see Vickers. Can't get any closer than that. Junior right now is saying, okay, I've got mirrors full of everybody.
Well, this is where, as a leader, that you have to make the decision. You have to really be looking at which one of these lines might be moving quicker, and you want to get that push from that one.
Carl's sort of moving backwards, and there's the bump coming from behind by
Watch this. Here
Kyle.
goes Stewart for the lead.
Tony's got the low line and no help for Junior. So here we go with another lead change. And right behind him is his teammate, Kevin Harvick. Junior tucks into 3rd. Vickers is going to say, come on, Kyle, punch me again from behind and let's go. It will be our 15th different lead change between 11 leaders. This has been a great start to the 2010 campaign in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. We hope you've been with us. We've got 30 laps to go.
See some contact through the corner.
We're at the bottom of the hour. If you're just tuning in, we will tell you that Danica Patrick was involved in the big one. Not her fault. She had nowhere to go, along with about 9 other cars. But this is the battle that we have going. As you can see, here comes smoke down low.
Starting to see a lot more bump drafting now. These guys are getting a little bit racy. We're getting down inside of 30 laps to go.
Here comes that outside lane now. Harvick's leading that outside group.
Coming to the stripe, Tony Stewart's going to lead another lap. That is now his 12th lap led. Harvick has led the most today at 39.
You see him 3 wide just behind here. You see Brendan Gaughan there in the middle.
Not sure it's where Brendan wants to be by any stretch, but doesn't have much choice. Now he's trying to tuck in behind Kyle.
Now we see the momentum coming from that outside lane.
Once again, just on the inside of Brendan Gaughan.
Look out!
Trouble.
Oh, and upside down is Earnhardt. This is going to be a mess.
Spin behind us, wave him.
The 33 of Harvick. Joey Logano involved. More cars still spinning in this multiple car crash. Just that quick. Window net is down. Oh, man, that car is just destroyed.
Well, it happens fast. Hard to tell exactly what happened right there.
Brendan Gaughan involved in it. And we are going to get a red flag situation here.
It's Kyle Busch coming down pit road with damage.
Yeah, he hit Junior after he'd gotten upside down.
Another car that's coming in is the 09 of Scott Riggs. Look at the damage here. There is what's damage on the 33 of Kevin Harvick. So 2 of the 3 that have dominated this race the last few years are in some serious trouble. Dale is definitely out. I don't know how bad it is for Harvick right now. There's Brendan climbing out of his car.
Mike Wallace coming down pit road destroyed.
We'll have to see exactly what happened in this, but as we said, as things start picking up, these guys start getting a little more aggressive with their driving and trying to take advantage of the draft. And these are the kind of things that happen, and they usually happen on the straightaway.
Every time it seems like these big wrecks happen on the straightaway.
That's a great sign there to see him out of the car. That's a wild ride.
And he's just looking at it and saying,
man, what happened?
That was a beautiful race car just a few moments ago.
Junk now.
All right, let's go back, see how this all started. There's Dale right at the right side of your screen.
Oh, there's contact behind him between Carl Edwards.
And Carl Edwards got up into
Keselowski. And boy, it just flipped Dale over. And then there's nowhere for these guys to go. That's Kyle Busch. That's the damage he sustained. There's Brendan gone.
You got to wonder why Carl Edwards would make a move like that on the straightaway. He kind of made an abrupt move up to the outside lane there. I don't know if he thought he was clear.
Yeah, sometimes you're moving over just to get against that car to try to slow that car down, that momentum, to where you can get your line moving a little bit quicker. And maybe he just misjudged that. It has happened before, but that's what these guys are trying to do, is just side draft and slow that car beside them down to where their line will move quicker.
Greg Biffle also involved. Let's go on board. This is the view from Junior.
That's where he just got turned. When you get hit in the right rear, there's nothing you can do. And, of course, the air automatically gets underneath that car right then. Let's see here. See Carl moving over. Yeah, I think his intentions were just to get over there, but you could see that outside line moving a little bit just to slow them down. And I don't know if Brad came down just a little. Nothing that Brad was doing wrong, but it only takes just a split second of both of these drivers moving in the same direction, and that creates the contact.
So the work continues. Let's go on board and just listen.
Right corner, spin behind you, damn it. Turned it. All right, we ain't hit nothing yet. Gather up.
It's from high above.
Yeah, Carl may have actually been trying to get into the outside lane there.
It looked like he thought he might have a hole. And was trying to get in that hole before it closed up, but he misjudged the front of his car.
You know, we've seen that a number of times down here this week in both the Cup Series and now in this series, to where guys are misjudging just a little bit. And it only takes a little bit.
Here it is in real time.
Yeah, I'm going to say, I think it's just a product of this restrictor plate racing. The cars are all bunched up. And just misjudging by a few inches can create a situation just like this.
If you were with us for Countdown, there was a really strong interview by Marty Smith with Dale Earnhardt Jr. and about the disappointment of last year and the high hopes for this year. And that's what's left of today's car. What does this do to his confidence?
Well, his confidence still got to be high. He had a car good enough to win and probably thought he was going to win. But that's just one of those racing breaks.
Our second 10-car crash, and you can see the list of those that are involved. There's the damage on Kyle's car. And looks like they've got the sledgehammer out trying to get it away from the wheel well. We are under a red flag situation here at Daytona. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
The NASCAR Nationwide Series from Daytona under the red flag, our aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV. DirecTV, it'll change your life. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Under the red flag after a huge 10-car accident. Field stopped with 28 laps to go. Take a minute and look ahead in the schedule for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Next week, it's all the way across the country. 2,500 miles to Southern California and the Auto Club Speedway. Then it's another West Coast venue, or Western venue. Las Vegas Motor Speedway. A couple of weeks off, then Thunder Valley and Bristol Motor Speedway.
Oh, that's my place.
You want a couple
I
of
like
them,
that.
didn't you, Rusty? You like that place,
Oh,
don't you?
man, good place to hang out.
Join us at any of those upcoming races. Check out NASCAR.com/tickets, and of course all those races on the ESPN family of networks. This red flag happened for a race for second place gone bad, and another look at it with Rusty, Brad, and Ray, and how Carl Edwards clipped Brad Keselowski.
Yeah, for whatever reason, Carl moves up, hits the left rear of Brad. Brad hits the right rear of the 88 Dale Jr., turns him upside down, and then it's all crazy behind it. Brendan Gaughan comes plowing into where to go. Stephen Wallace goes by, no damage. There's Biffle, he tears his car up. Mike Wallace.
We took a lot of good cars out of the field right now, so it's going to be interesting to come back.
And we agree with DJ's observation that it just looked like from that other angle, Carl was trying to get in line behind Keselowski in the draft.
Yeah, you can see right there, Carl's moving up, thought there was an opening, and just hooked him. It turned Keselowski down into the 88. That left side weight of those Nationwide cars just picked that thing up, turned it over, and then there is just nowhere to go. You can see a lot of things flying. There's a lot of hurt cars out there. Right now, we don't even know who has damage. They banged around so much.
We saw Dale Earnhardt Jr. climb from that battered race car and walk away okay. For more on driver safety, we go to our Craftsman Tech Garage and Tim Brewer. Tim?
Thanks, AB. You know, we were over at Hendrick Motorsports last week, picked up a pretty good piece here for the Craftsman Tech Garage. Randy LaJoy, he makes a great aluminum seat, but it's driver preference. But when you go over to Rick Hendrick, he's got this new carbon seat. The seat itself is a lot stronger. There again, the insert, it's molded to each individual driver, the contour of his body. But like you said, as long as you stay within the confines of this cocoon right in this area, with the Hans device, with the helmet, seat belts, you're going to be in pretty good shape. Another option that they have, this foam in the side of the car, it's optional in the NASCAR series as far as the Nationwide cars. Put it in either side, but it is mandatory in the Cup series. So when the car went up, when it came down on the pavement, this energy-absorbing foam, it withstood some of the shock. But Earnhardt, as long as he stays inside that car, he's going to be in good shape. Doc?
Well, Dale Earnhardt Jr. walking out of the care center, I saw you smile, so I know you're okay. What all happened out there?
I don't know. I got turned in the right rear quarter panel. I guess a couple guys just got together and it hooked somebody into me. And when my car rolled to the really disappointed for the Hellmann's folks. We were having a good run, and I felt pretty good about our chances of winning the race or running up front. It was a lot of fun drafting with Tony and Harvick, and me and Harvick, he got loose down there, but we had a lot of fun today. But that was expensive right there, so I don't know. We'll have to go back and balance our books after this one. It's been a rough day for Jarrett Motorsports.
Now, with you back here, can anybody out there handle Tony?
Oh, well, I mean, I think, I don't know who was in the wreck, so I'll just have to go back to the bus. I mean, Tony's car is great. He's got awesome motor under the hood, and, he's one hell of a driver, so, it's going to be tough to beat him. But I felt like we were up there, having a lot of fun. It was a good race, I just don't want to tear my car up like that, but that's the risk you take when you get out there.
Okay, glad the junior's okay. The bottom line is they lost the race car, but he's going to be fine.
Good to see that Dale Jr. is okay. Watching the different angles of this replay gives you a couple different things to think about, Rusty. You were watching that angle.
Yeah, it actually looked like the 22 car, Brad Keselowski, was coming off the wall at the same time that Carl Edwards was going up, and they just collided. I mean, I can't say that's all Carl's fault. One more time, let's take a look at this.
A little bit of that side drafting going on, like DJ was saying before. Everybody trying to get close to the fender of that other car.
Yeah. You could be right there. That's really interesting. I think it's just the turbulence in the air, both of those guys sucking up to one another, and just created a bad situation.
Keselowski coming down to try and side draft off of Jr. while Carl Edwards was trying to get in line behind him, and it didn't work out, particularly for Dale Jr. and Brendan Gaughan. Doc?
Well, Brendan climbed out, and now he and Joe Nemechek talking over what they saw. Let me ask you first, Brendan, what did you see out there?
I mean, I was sitting in the top 10. Our Toyota was running great. I mean, everything was looking good for us, right where you want to be, and that's the nature of Daytona. Even when you're up front, dangerous things happen. I saw Junior get turned in the middle. Like, I just saw him come in the middle of the two lines, and when I saw him turn sideways, I started to see the undercarriage, and knowing where I was sitting, I went, oh, I'm screwed. Toyota's coming back in a heap, so I feel bad. I mean, this is our first race with the Camry, and it was everything I expected and more.
Joe, how about you? I was back behind that. I saw Junior flipping up in the air, and I thought I saw another car up in there, but I mean, there was nowhere for me to go. We're nursing a car, missing a half a right front fender, so I got to stay behind somebody to keep up. And next thing you know, whatever hit me caught the front of the hood, and it's the first time I ever had a carburetor knocked off my car. I just want to say thank you to all the guys at DAB Constructors out there for their support in the Nationwide car and on the Cup car, and we're going to have a good day tomorrow. And that's the best news. These guys can walk away and race tomorrow.
Thank you, Doc. The red flag withdrawn. The yellow flag is back out. We'll see which of the leaders will pit in just a minute. Work allowed to begin on some of the damaged cars like Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick's, guys who had contended for the win in this race for so long.
It looks to me like Kevin Harvick can get this car fixed. He's got some left front damage. Looks like they got it about fixed now. Some air damage up there, Ray. And it looks like they're going to try to dress out also.
Yeah, they've got a lot of work to do in it. But you know what? It goes back to that wreck is still just a kind of a physics lesson, isn't it? Just can't put two things can't occupy the same space at the same time.
Oh, I can tell you one thing. When I first started racing, Dick Trickle told me one time when him and I got together, hey, it's your fault, it's my fault. I learned one thing. He put it in percentages. Brad Keselowski is probably going to take 30% of the blame, and Carl Whitner's probably going to take 70% on that one.
Well,
yeah. I think it's interesting, though. I think what we're going to see, though, guys, the race from here on out is going to be real interesting because I do believe that the guys who get to move up position-wise are the guys who've taken good care of their cars all day and stayed out of these frays. So now we're going to see some different cast of characters outside of Tony Stewart and Brad Keselowski with a chance to race for a good position. Dave, what do you got for us?
Crew Chief Butch Hilton told me they definitely want the tires because there's so much debris out there, and I definitely want fuel. That new rule at the end of the race, green, white checker, makes me nervous. Top this baby off and get Tony out of here. Jamie?
And Brian Vickers in the middle of your screen. Car is good. No extended damage from that last wreck. They're going to fill it up with Sunoco fuel. 4 tires down below. Carl Edwards, who was at the beginning of that wreck, he didn't know what happened. Asked for them to retrace his steps. A lot of right front damage. You see them assessing it there. They're putting on 4 tires, putting in fuel, assessing what needs to happen. I expect Carl Edwards to come back in, guys.
So we're at Daytona. We're down to the final 27 laps, and who knows what's going to happen. Will we be seeing another frantic Daytona finish? Will we have more than one attempt at a green-white checker for the first time in the Nationwide Series? We're coming back in just a minute to Daytona Beach. Get ready for the final 25 laps of today's NASCAR Nationwide Series race here at Daytona. When the race is done, stay tuned here on ESPN2. It's our Sports Center at Daytona 500 preview. The defending champ of the 500, Matt Kenseth, joins us. We'll get reports from the garage on today's final practice. How will Jeff Gordon fare in a backup car? What does his team have to say? That and plenty more on our Sports Center at Daytona 500 preview right after the race finishes here on ESPN2. Marty, take us to the checkers.
And we're going to go green with about, well, we're working lap number 96 at this point of 120, and it is Stephen Wallace who is in front and taking the lead even on the restart here. He chose the high side. Casey Kane in the 38, the 4 of Tony Stewart right there along with Brian Vickers.
Casey Kane tried to throw a little block on Tony Stewart, but he was having none of that.
And here comes Tony. Boy, he just blows by on the high side of the 66.
And you see that yellow machine number 98 of Paul Menard comes from that last starting spot up there in about 4th or 5th right now.
Now remember, Wallace stayed out and he last pitted on lap 85, I think it was, yes, and the rest of them came in on 93. So,
hey, Harvick's not out of this thing. You see, he's right there with him.
One guy who probably is definitely out is Kyle Busch. He's the first car 1 lap down. He's 21st right now, and don't know how good that car is going to be with the damage he sustained.
Yeah, and that 12 car, Justin Allgaier, got a debris, which is not surprising.
Well, that's going to be good news for Kyle Busch. He'll get the lucky dog.
And I was just talking about Justin Allgaier, done a great job. He sustained some damage early on in that very first incident, and has come back. He's got himself up in 3rd spot right now.
So our 14th different lead change. Now our 6th caution comes out here at Daytona International Speedway. We've had a total of 29 laps under caution. Our red flag lasted 11 minutes. And as we mentioned, 28 cars have been bent up in one way, shape, form, or another today. It has been a lot of contact. I can tell you that Colin Brown did come back out. His car looks like a modified. While we've got a chance, we'll talk about some drag racing, because you can see what's happening tonight with qualifying at the Craig and O'Reilly Winter Nationals in Pomona at 11 Eastern, and then the finals tomorrow at 8 Eastern. All of it on ESPN2. So that will give us 21 cars back on the lead lap, with Kyle getting the lucky dog, and there he is. And like we said, we're still not sure how aerodynamically sound that vehicle will be.
Yeah, that's one of the problems. NASCAR needs to make sure when these cars leave the pit area that they got all these panels secure, because if not, they're going to have a debris caution about every other lap until they clean this up. There's a lot of cars running cripple out there.
Yeah, they are. As I look down the list to see, we showed Morgan Shepherd back at the start of this race. Wasn't able to start at the very beginning because he had a problem. But he did get it on the racetrack, and now he's sitting in the 23rd spot. And you say, well, that might not be so great, but somebody that's trying to run that has a very limited budget, each one of these positions means a good bit of money.
Well, we've got a chance with us under our 7th caution. The record's 11 back in 2006. We got a long way to go to catch up there. Let's talk to our in-race reporter, Tony Stewart.
Tony, Dale Jarrett, you have a copy?
Yeah, man.
Well, he always said that being out front was the safest place to be. I guess that's definitely true a few minutes ago, huh?
Yeah, the hard part about leading and having them too wide right behind you is you don't know which lane to go to. So I was watching that pretty hard, and all of a sudden chaos broke out in the middle of a race. So it was definitely the best place to be at the time.
Hey, Tony, explain to our viewers, when you're in that situation looking back there, that's what you're doing more than looking out front, aren't you? Trying to decide which line that you want to try to maybe block or get a push from?
Yeah, I don't recommend most of these people doing that on the freeway, but everybody, at least with our deals, going the same direction. But when you're leading, you probably spend, I'd say, 80% of your lap, honestly, looking in the back. I mean, you run around here enough, you know where you're at, and you know where you're going. It's just, when you're leading, everything's dictated by what's going on behind you.
I know it took out a lot of good cars right there, but as you look back there, you feel your car is still strong enough just to stay there in the front?
Yeah, the car is. If I do my job, we'll be fine. I really believe it's up to me right now, because we've got a good enough car. I mean, this thing has been strong all day long, and Butch and these guys have done a great job in the pits, and they keep making adjustments and making it better for me, and I feel like my car is the best that it's been all day right now, so I feel like I got something I can joust with here.
Well, thanks for talking with us. If you say it's up to you, I like the chances. Pretty good record you got here, bud.
I'm not feeling too bad about it myself, but every race is a different scenario, so it's not given that by any means I still got a lot of work to do.
All right, thanks for talking with us, Tony. Good luck. Now, Dave Burns is going to talk to your crew chief, Butch Hilton.
And DJ, we're standing down here with Butch right now, who has a full-time gig, not in the Nationwide Series. He's on loan from Turner Motorsports in the Truck Series. What'd you think when you got the call to maybe drive to crew a Kevin Harvick car with Tony Stewart as the driver at Daytona?
Well, of course, that was a no-brainer. Yeah, I was real excited. Kevin hangs all the bodies for us and does a lot of work for us at Turner Motorsports, and we surely appreciate that. And nobody builds a finer race car than KHI, and all the men and women there, they put a lot of effort into it. So I was just really thrilled to get the chance to do this. We won this race 5 years ago with Tony as his crew chief, so man, maybe we can get a little lightning in the bottle here. That'd be great.
A lot of history with him, and they're trying to repeat history right now. Jamie?
Trent Owens is the crew chief for Brian Vickers. They sit second right now. So Tony Stewart just said he thinks it's up to him how this race finishes. Do you guys have anything for him?
I'd say he's pretty much correct. Brian's done a good job. We got some damage coming into pit road, and we had to repair that and went to the back. He's done a real good job coming back through there. Dollar General Toyota's been good all week. We've been lacking a little speed as compared to the 4 cars. So maybe him and Tony can get hooked up, end this thing on green flag, and they can fight it out amongst themselves.
Well, he's on sticker tires now, and the car's the best it's been all day. Vince?
You talk about somebody who's been dodging a bullet today. Justin Allgaier currently sitting third. Take a look at the tire. He had hit the wall earlier today, and it had put a toe in the car, and that is how the tire had been wearing. And look at that on the bottom of that tire. they ran about 20 laps, believe it or not, on that tire, and were able to get it in, get the damage fixed on the race car, get fresh set of tires on. So Allgaier now looking pretty good, sitting third right now with fresh rubber. Doc?
Well, Ernie Cope and these guys up here in Kevin Harvick's pit have had to repair 3 of the 4 corners of his Chevrolet. And right now, Kevin talking to Ernie. Ernie, how good is the car? How close have you gotten it back?
I believe we got it good. We just did 1 lap there, and he said it drives just fine. So if we got it back to handling how it did before, I feel we can get back up there and contend for the win.
So if you get back up there, can you handle your teammate, Tony Stewart?
I don't know. It'd be fun to get up there and race with them. I think if we get up there, I think we'll give them a go for it.
Okay, and Kevin Harvick, by the way, very comfortable and very excited about how well the car is handling this on the 1 lap at speed.
Harvick in 11th position right now as we get ready for the restart here at the Drive for COPD 300 at Daytona. And a couple of shout outs. How about Paul Menard? Started dead last in this field, has worked his way back up to 5th, move a couple of spots back to 8th, and look at the 26 of Brian Keselowski. Now remember when he got the pass-through penalty? Sometimes penalties end up helping you. He missed the big wreck because of it.
Yeah, the circumstances have definitely worked out for Brian Keselowski. See what he can do with it here.
Brian's best finish ever, 10th at Memphis, and that was several years ago, back in October of 2007. So this could be a very big payday for the 26 team with Brian Keselowski. Lights out, as we said on the pace car. Let's reset it for you. You've got Tony Stewart on point, Brian Vickers, Justin Allgaier 3rd, Casey Kane 4th, Menard is 5th, Stephen Wallace 6th, Logano is 7th, and as we mentioned, Brian Keselowski is 8th. Michael Annett and Brian Scott round out your top 10 as we will have 20 laps to go here at Daytona when we go back to green flag racing.
Yeah, you throw out Tony Stewart, Brian Vickers, and Casey Kane there, and it's not guys in the rest of that top 10 that you would normally talk about here at Daytona, but they got a great opportunity. This is restrictor plate racing. Anything can happen. Usually does.
Well, and just back you up on that, the cautions come out in the last 10 laps in 9 of the last 10 Daytona races. We've got 20 to go now, and we're back to green flag racing here at the World Center of Racing. Allgaier trying to stay right on Stewart's back bumper. Vickers looking for some help on the high side.
Yeah, and Justin Allgaier got a good start there and is able to give Tony a nice push.
Menard up to 3rd right now. There's Carl ducking back into the low lane. Boy, for some reason, Vickers looks like he's just got an anchor tied to him right now.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how good his car is. We saw some damage on the front, and I'm not sure how good his car is going to be out front. He's going to have to wait and be patient and try to get himself up there late in the race. I'm not sure that he's fast enough to stay out front for very long.
Yeah, if he could find a good place to tuck in, like right here, if he could find a hole, get somebody in front of him, take some of that wind off the front of the car where he has the damage, he can keep up with this group.
Casey Kane getting a little loose, trying to keep from running up on him. In that second line now on the high line, Stephen Wallace takes over the point, and boy, that line doesn't seem to be able to push very fast, very far.
And you see the Keselowskis running together, Brian and Brad.
When's the last time you saw Brian in front of Brad?
He's liking this.
And that's no slam against
Brian. Come on, give me a shove here. Let's go.
And Brad saying,
come on, dude.
See you, brother.
Don't hang me out.
Bye-bye, bro.
If you can't count on your brother out here, who can you count on?
That just proves it right there. You'd hang your brother to win a race with you.
Yeah, pretty much. Unfortunately, Brian is really hung out now by everybody, and he's backing up. There is Menard as he has dropped back a few spots. Let's get an update on his car, Dave.
And just think how the weekend's gone for Paul with the rain out on Friday. His team had to do some negotiations to even find him a spot in today's race. Then in the second caution, he's involved and they're fixing damage. You can see the tape on that yellow car that they fixed. The rest of the day fairly quiet, and they pitted for fuel on lap 93, which means they'll be good to go at the end if we get 1 or 2 or maybe 3 attempts at a green, white checker finish.
Tell you what, Kevin Harvick's not out of this race by no means. His car looks really fast right here. He's just looking for an opportunity.
Yeah, he has moved back up into the 6th position. Right in front of him is Casey Kane. Still in front, though, is Tony Stewart. He is the man to beat right now.
Yeah, another driver that I see up there is the 20 car, Joey Logano. If he can get a little bit of help, he might have something to say if Tony Stewart's going to win this race or not.
How about Kyle Busch? He's up to 10th, guys. Remember, he got the lucky dog, and he comes back, and they worked on this thing as soon as the red flag was lifted. He's backing up a little bit there as he drifts up, but still.
Oh, the right front of this car was destroyed. And for them to get it fixed, to get that lap back, and to now be contending for just a top 10 spot's a miracle.
Well, he dropped back to 12th as he got high on the track. Now he's back in line. Next time by, we'll have 16 laps to go. Let's get an update on Kyle Busch. Dave, what's going on?
The worst part of the damage for them was that the toe was out on that car, and it wouldn't track straight down the track. So they worked on that really, really hard. And Kyle just came on the radio and he says, I might have a tire down, but DJ, when that car's been worked out as much as it has, and when it's as out of sync as it is, you feel a lot of things under there, don't you?
Yeah, you really do. And even though they might got the toe back, something's bent there to create that situation. So you're going to get a lot of different feels. He's probably just going to try to hang on here and get the most that he can out of it.
Yeah, with that damage, and especially the sheet metal damage up there on the right front, he's likely got some kind of rub, and you don't want that thing to blow out, that right front tire to blow out.
Well, the other thing we're seeing is some of that tape is starting to come off and get loose, which means air's getting in underneath, and that's not good for the car either. Don't forget, we've got right after our race, Sports Center, special edition from right here at Daytona. Alan Bestwick getting ready to bring you all the latest news on what's going to happen tomorrow. And look at this action out on the track, nose to tail. It is getting very good.
Okay, we're 15 laps to go, Dale. I mean, what do you want to do? What position you want to be in at this point?
I like where Justin Allgaier's sitting right now, to be quite honest with you, but I see him getting really racy here. Some guys getting antsy, wanting to improve their position right now. I'm not sure that we've seen our last caution.
Now remember, Allgaier's never won a Nationwide Series race. He is the Rookie of the Year from last year.
That Harvick just jumped out of lineup on the outside now, looking for another spot.
He's going to need some help, or it's going to cost him.
It's on the outside of Casey Kane. If he can get some help from behind.
Now, I said that about Allgaier. Now, give me Tony Stewart out front about any time, but I'm saying if anybody's going to try to make a pass, I like where Allgaier's sitting.
Harvick gets the help from Brad Keselowski. Will it be enough?
Well, Harvick had to do something. He knew he couldn't win the race from the position he was in. He's got to move up in this line.
He cannot get past the 38 of Kane. Now he's in trouble. He's got another car coming up underneath him there, and they may get shuffled back even further. That was Menard in the 98.
Yeah, the problem he's going to have is his own car is pulling this group so fast, it's going to make it tough to go on that outside line and make a pass.
And you got some of these cars running behind Tony Stewart that are pretty satisfied to be in the position they're in. They're not going to pull out and get racy now where these cars can catch back up.
This time by 13 laps to go. Harvick still on that high side. Keselowski right behind him, trying to get some more help from Annette, who's third in that line.
Well, I saw Logano give just a little bit of an opening. You got to be careful, especially through that tri-oval, that you don't give somebody that opening. Brian Vickers had a notion to stick his nose in there, try to take that spot away on the inside.
Well, take a look at some of these shots we're seeing. I've never seen so much tape on the front of race cars at Daytona in my life. You see this maybe at Martinsville, but they all look like short track cars banged up out there.
And we hope that doesn't happen. Want to stay lean, mean, and green, but we mentioned it once before. 9 of the last 10, we've had a caution in the last 10 laps. It's caused we get very racy, very racy.
You can see Harvick make a little more ground there whenever Brad Keselowski was able to stay right on his bumper, but once he moved back away from him a little bit, he kind of stalled out.
Well, Harvick's waiting on the cars up front behind Tony Stewart to get antsy. Now move out of line. Pull up in front of him here.
What is going through Justin Allgaier's mind? Here he sits in second place. 12 laps remaining from potentially his first win, and the first win for Dodge since 2007.
I'm hoping they didn't tell him anything about that tire that we saw a while ago.
Vince, what's the latest?
I'll tell you what, it's been an amazing run, and if Allgaier should happen to win this race, he'll have his crew to thank for it. They had damage on their race car before their very first pit stop of the day. At one point, they had to replace a damaged fitting on the valve cover. This crew has earned their position today, and Allgaier has driven the wheels off of it. They told him just a moment ago, you're in a perfect place. Snug up to that bumper. We'll see.
Well, remember, we told you at the beginning of this race, Cup regulars have won all but 4 of the races here. Chad Little won once. Randy LaJoy, a nationwide regular, won it 3 times. And right now, Justin Allgaier could join an exclusive club as he sits in 2nd place. But, man, I'm telling you, he's got a big task. That guy in that number 4 has been awfully strong.
Yeah, 4's going to become about 30 feet wide here whenever it gets down time. We've seen guys in the past here try to pass Tony Stewart on the last lap. We saw Kyle Busch try to push him down to Daytona Beach, and it still didn't work last year.
Harvick still on that high side, and boy,
he's not gonna give up.
Keselowski, he got loose coming out of 4 on that one himself. He really doesn't have any choice, but they just can't get enough. We just got word from NASCAR officials. Greg Biffle has been given the black flag as he has got water coming out from underneath the car, so obviously he's got radiator problems. So end of the day for Biffle, who looked very good early in this race until he too got into one of the accidents, the last big one. Next time by, 9 laps remaining. We keep an eye on Harvick and Brad Keselowski because they keep pushing on that outside, but they cannot make any ground. And look at Stewart now starting to open up a little ground over 2nd place.
That could actually help the car behind. We got some momentum shifts.
Logano,
I'm not sure that's going to work, though.
Here comes Vickers tucking up. Whoa, and he gets into Allgaier.
Casey Kane had to get out of the throttle. He got bumped from behind.
This is helping Harvick, just like you said.
Allgaier showing me a lot, guys. He's saved this car twice so far.
This is exactly what Kevin Harvick's looking for, is for things to get racy up front.
Vickers
Menard on the
is
inside.
In the middle. Here comes Menard on the inside. Right behind him, the 60 of Carl Edwards. But Allgaier stays in 2nd. Logano way on the high side. He may get shuffled back.
Look at Harvick thread the middle.
Harvick's now hooked up with Vickers in the middle. 3 wide coming out of the corner. Oh, look out. That was Kane getting loose. Now we've got 8 laps remaining. Oh, and Kane gets loose again.
Yeah, that car's been a handful all day for Casey Kane. He's got himself in the worst position you could be with a bad handling car right in the middle.
Harvick.
Oh, look at him slide up the hill.
Oh,
still sideways.
Harvick and Vickers still hooked up, but not getting any help. And look at the 18 of Kyle Busch coming up underneath.
Unbelievable.
That is anything but aerodynamically clean. And here comes Harvick giving him help. First time Kyle's gotten help all day.
That's 2 crippled cars helping each other.
Keselowski's gotten down on the low side. He is right behind the 33. This time by, it'll be 7 laps remaining. And again, it's still about a car length separating 1st and 2nd. Well, it was.
Yeah, not for long.
Look at Allgaier really putting on a show for the sophomore.
He is. He's hanging on to that car with everybody beating on his rear bumper. They want to get there and get that chance to try to pass Tony Stewart.
Tony opens it up, coming down out of 2. But it seems like Allgaier's able to pull back up, coming through 3 and 4.
Yeah, and he's in a position, this young man, he hasn't ever been in this position. You're on your biggest stage. He's running for a championship. What's he thinking about doing here at the end?
And look at Harvick working the outside now.
He is the only nationwide regular in that entire top 9-10 cars. And Allgaier looking to maybe pick up his first win.
Now you see Carl Edwards has moved up in that outside lane in front of Harvick.
Robert Richardson gives way as he is involved in one of those accidents earlier. 6 laps remaining, and notice Stewart again coming out of 2 is able to open it up.
Yeah, his car's just so strong, but he doesn't want to get too far ahead of these guys because that will allow them to get a real run with this draft.
Kyle Busch gets hung down in the middle of this group.
He's going backwards as fast as he came forward there a few minutes ago.
Yeah, Kyle's hung out in the middle. On the high side, Vickers and Kane.
1 to the 98. 1 to the 98.
5 to go this time.
See, Allgaier really having a tough time off of 4 now, holding his car down. He's got to be careful or he'll open that spot up and then lose that, or somebody will get a nose under him and into him.
That was Allgaier's radio you heard. Speaking of Justin, there have been 3 men who have gotten their first Nationwide Series win here at Daytona. Dale Earnhardt back in '82 at the initial race, Chad Little in '95, and that guy in the front right now, Tony Stewart, back in '05. Stephen Wallace, he's got his hands full right now. That car's been through the war. Michael Annett with him there. Meanwhile, back up front, Tony Stewart, and the freight train continues to roll.
Yeah, and Harvick's still trying to just make something happen, trying to get himself in a position that somebody can help him get to the front.
On board with Harvick. He can see it, he just can't get to it.
Yeah, and the problem is part of his damage there on the front is probably hurting his car some.
98's with you.
4 laps to go here at Daytona in what has been a thrilling nationwide race to back up the 2 duels, which were oh so close. Could we have another photo finish at the stripe today? We're about to find out.
Look at Brad Keselowski drive that car, jumping around up into the 4th spot now.
Joey Logano side by side with the 33 of Harvick. Boy, the front 4 cars now. Keselowski trying to get into that mix with the 98.
Don't let him shuffle you. Don't let him shuffle you.
Keselowski's trying to figure which way he wants to go. Now he just got shuffled the wrong way.
Yeah, that's going to cost him. He's drifting up. Look out. Harvick's on the outside of him. He ducks down. But it cost him a couple of spots, and it's going to cost him even more.
You see Carl Edwards is getting a bump from behind by Brian Vickers, trying to keep his car straight.
Keselowski's never finished in the top 10 in the February race here at Daytona. He's going to have to get back on his horse to get back into the top 10 now.
Harvick's in the 5th spot now. He's just waiting for an opening.
See Menard drop back there a little. I think he's getting back there trying to get a little bit of help from that 20 car of Joey Logano. See if they can make a run on Allgaier here.
No driver has come from 43rd to win the race. You saw it there. Paul Menard in 3rd right now. Could make some history today if he can pull it off. There's your top 6. Whoa!
There comes Logano.
He's loose. Man, you could see his hands hacks on. Joey Logano's going to go underneath him. They're going to go side by side. It's going to allow those first 2 to pull away.
Which will be good for Tony Stewart because it's going to be hard for one guy to make a pass without some help for sure, as strong as Tony's car is.
2 laps remaining. Oh, look out. Logano gets loose. 3 wide coming through the corner.
Here comes Kyle Busch
now
back in the mix again.
Wide. Woo! Keselowski says, excuse me, pardon me, playing through, and he makes the pass, and Logano goes backwards. Down the backstretch, look at Carl Edwards trying to get into this mix as well. He finds himself in that 3rd position, and now these 3 cars, they could pull away from these guys.
Well, they got 1 lap coming up here, coming to the white flag.
Who wins this race? White flag is out here at Daytona.
White flag here.
2.5 miles.
Will Justin Allgaier pull out, and will Carl Edwards go with him?
Does Tony Stewart win for the 5th time in 6 years? Does Justin Allgaier get his first ever Nationwide Series win? And does Carl win for the first time here at Daytona?
Yeah, you see Carl back up, trying to get Paul Menard to give him a push here. He's going to try to go to the outside of Justin Allgaier.
Somebody's got to get up there to give him some help because Tony's trying to pull away.
Allgaier makes the block on Carl Edwards. He's trying to get that push to go by Tony Stewart.
They have the momentum.
Allgaier's got the run on the high side. Does he get any help? Not right now. Now he's going to look low.
Here comes
Meanwhile, going to crash. Kyle Busch, the 22 of Keselowski. While they spin, coming down the front straightaway, it's going to be all Tony Stewart.
Checker flag is waving.
Kevin Harvick trying to duck underneath. Who gets 2nd behind Stewart? It is Edwards. Harvick 3rd. Allgaier 4th. Woo, what a finish.
Oh, my gosh.
And now the caution's out.
Again, great job, Butch. Great job, guys. Proud of you. This thing was fast.
Tony Stewart's 15th Daytona win. It ranks 3rd all-time behind Dale Earnhardt's 34, Bobby Allison's 16, and he's tied with Cale Yarborough.
The guy's just so good. You give him anything close to a decent race car, he's
unbelievable.
shines.
And Harvick comes back for a third-place finish.
Yeah, what a move he made down to the inside on that last lap. Almost got to second.
All right, let's go back and show you what happened. And it looks like there's going to be some discussion in pit road again.
We can talk about what might have happened, but they obviously disagree with that.
Well, there's parts and pieces all over that backstretch.
It'll take them from now to the time the truck race is going to start to get this place cleaned up for them.
All right, let's take another look at it. Watch the 18, the 22.
Well, Kyle's loose there.
Yeah, he gets loose.
Yeah. Keselowski didn't do anything there.
Oh, I think he thinks maybe Brad gave him some help, and he didn't.
Coming to the checkered flag.
And here was the race coming out of 4 for the group up front. Look, watch Harvick.
See Harvick down all the way to the inside right here. Justin Allgaier was trying to figure out who to block, but he just didn't have the car wide enough to do all that. Harvick almost gets to second.
And for the second year in a row, Carl Edwards finishes second. I guarantee he says it's like kissing your sister. Let's check in with Doc.
Now with Butch Helton, the crew chief for Tony Stewart, what is it about you and Stewart? The magic is back.
Well, I think it's more about KHI and how strong their cars are. The men and women that work there, they just build incredible race cars. Earnhardt Childress Racing engines, you can't say enough about them. How about that driver? He is the man. And Bob Jeffrey spotting for us up there. Bob talked him through the last 15 laps, keeping the runs off of him. And what a great day. It was awesome for Oreo, Ritz Crackers. Really appreciate all their support.
Now, does Tony have you come sit in the pits tomorrow to keep that luck going?
No, I think Darian's got it figured out.
All right, head to victory lane. Congratulations.
Appreciate that, Jerry.
Jamie.
And Carl Edwards just crawled out of his race car. What a day. I know everybody wants to talk to you real quick, Carl. First of all, let's think back a little bit in the race. 12-car pileup, and you were one of the first ones involved. What happened there?
Well, I was trying to tuck back into line with Brad. And I think if you look real close, I haven't seen a replay, but I think at the last second, you know, when I was tucking in, he just moved over just enough. And once we got hooked, I did everything I could to get off of him. I'm glad everybody's all right there. That's not what we wanted to be part of, but I'm really proud of my guys. Fastenal, Copart, Ford. I mean, second place, it's not a win, but it's a great start for our season. So I had a lot of fun out there today. I'm excited about the 500 tomorrow.
It was an exciting race for Carl Edwards. Let's go over to Vince Welch.
I'll give you an indication of what kind of day it was for Kevin Harvick. When he stepped out of the car, he brushed grass off his driver's suit. That was some kind of incident and some kind of recovery by your team. You had significant damage on your car.
Everybody on this Jimmy John Chevrolet did a great job. What a couple cars they prepared over the winter. We work hard on our speedway stuff, and to see the 4 in victory lane and this car tore up and come back to finish third says a lot about the character of the race team. So I'm excited. It's been a long time since I slid that far and didn't just destroy something. So other than some minor damage, was a good day. So just got to thank all the fans and coming out to watch today, and good day.
It's amazing. We were listening on the radio during the red, and you were still confident your team could win the race, that you had a car that could win despite all the damage. What gave you that confidence from earlier?
I just knew we had a really fast car, and the car handled flawlessly all day. And, you know, I figured, I didn't know how bad it was tore up, actually, but I figured we had a good enough car to get back up there. The packs just weren't that big there at the end, and there was no outside line, so you kind of had to push and shove to get back to the bottom.
Great day for KHI.
It certainly is. And the 6th restrictor plate nationwide series victory for Tony Stewart ties him with Dale Earnhardt and Dale Earnhardt Jr. for the most all time. They have got that program figured out.
Yeah, I'll say they do.
Well, it has been one exciting day. And it's almost time for our Hellman's Victory Circle as Tony is unbuckling and getting ready to climb out of the cockpit of that winning number 4 Chevrolet. And here he comes. Dave Burns, it's all yours.
And for Tony Stewart, the emotion of Daytona is all his once again, thanking his mostly Stewart-Haas race crew. But are you surprised to be here based on everything that was put together for you here this weekend?
Not because of, I'll be honest, no, and that's because of the equipment I was given. I'm not sure I still did a good enough job behind the wheel, but man, this Oreos Ritz Cracker Chevy was awesome. Man, was this thing awesome. And everybody from Coke and all of our guys from the Office Depot Old Spice team came and helped out today. But, this is really because of Kevin and Delana Harvick and everybody here at Ritz and Oreos for letting us come do this with them. Kevin and Delana have always given us great race cars. I mean, every time. So from that standpoint, no, I'm not surprised, but just glad we're here again.
I heard you ask with 5 to go, how many laps? You're good at this, but how difficult is it to hold guys off at the end like that?
Well, they're not going to just sit there and ride and stay where they're at. Everybody's going to try to win it. So you just got to have an idea how much longer you got to do what you're doing.
All right, Tony Stewart, 5 of the last 6 in victory lane here in the Nationwide Series. He does it again today. Vince.
Well, Tony Stewart ended up in victory lane, but he sure had to hold off Justin Allgaier to do it. What's going through your mind there in those final laps when you're on the bumper of Tony Stewart and a bunch of other Cup guys are on your tail?
Well, just follow the four. I told Tony, I had Spotter tell Tony before that last restart that if we can get rolling, we'll push him out there and get him as far ahead as we can. But Verizon Dodge guys did just an unbelievable job. I got in the wall early and I thought I ruined our day. We had an oil leak. We had to come in and fix it and fix the damage, and just to be there at the end and to know that how far this team's come from last year and just know how far we've come. It's pretty awesome. And the Spotter did an unbelievable job. He was up there, just telling me how far back and how forward we needed to go. So God was definitely on our side today, that's for sure.
Terrific effort for Justin Allgaier and the Verizon Dodge today. Marty?
All right, we're catching our breath up here. A lot of excitement. The celebration will go on for quite a while. Then we put the first one in the books for 2010. Make sure to tune in next week when we head west for the NASCAR Nationwide Series at California. We'll be on the air Saturday at 5 Eastern on ESPN2. Congratulations again to Tony Stewart. For our entire ESPN crew, I'm Marty Reed. Till we meet again. And right now we go to Sports Center at Daytona. We're going to send it over to Alan Beswick in the pit studio. Alan, it's all yours.